Stream. Look at me messing up. But it is Tuesday night. It's another episode of the Big Three podcast. Hopefully everybody's enjoying themselves. We have another great show lined up for you. Right now it's going to be myself, Jake, and Jordan. Have a couple others who will join us a little bit later. But before we get started, Jake, how you doing?
Doing great. Can't complain. Had a good weekend with the family. Weather's turning. It's finally getting springtime here, so can't complain. Excited for the show.
Yeah. Jordan, what's up with you, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Had the USA Japan baseball classic on right now in the background. It's going to be a good one. And Mike Trout or another teammates, but Mike Trout and Shohei facing each other. If y'all caught that last night, I kind of caught it to the tail end, but I think Japan was down 5-4. I caught it in the ninth inning, top of the ninth. And then Shohei hit a double. And then I think the Japanese player that's on your team this year, I think it was not. He got walked. I think the guy after him hit a deep double, and Shohei was
double into the gap. Yep.
So it's gonna be a good one. They're about to start right now. Other than that, we got baseball around the corner. Next week or end of this week, March 28th, I think, or April 1st, something like that. Around that time.
I think it's basically April 1st because I've been seeing a lot of ads for ESPN. On what?
No, I think Jake was further for a little bit.
Oh. But yeah, I've been seeing ads for opening day on ESPN and stuff April 1st. So yeah, it's right around the corner. Daniel Berry, what's up?
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yep, Daniel Berry.
But
wait, Jake, do you have a baseball team you follow?
Yeah, oddly enough, I decided to follow the Brewers last year. I just randomly I need a team because growing up there wasn't a local team. I'm like, you know what, the Brewers have a cool logo, I like the color scheme. I'll give them a follow and see how it goes.
You're around Washington area, right?
I lived in Oregon for a few years, and Seattle was just a little bit too far. So I was a fan of Ken Griffey Jr. And then once he left, I was like, oh, for a minute, like the White Sox and the Blue, it just kind of bounced around. I never had that desire, and I've the MLB app has this really cool thing where you pay so you get the radio play-by-play for every single game, no blackouts. And I just listened to the Brewers. They have a great play-by-play guy, Bob Uecker, and it's like, guess it'll work. They're not the winningest team or anything, but it was fun. It was a fun year.
Wait, so are you on the East Coast or West Coast? I think.
No, I'm on the East Coast. I've lived everywhere. I grew up in Oregon.
Nashville's around there, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Oregon, lived in Utah, lived in Alabama, lived in Florida, Virginia.
Everywhere. Okay.
Like everywhere, but I'm on the East Coast right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't know Bob Uecker still did the Brewers games. Of course, everybody knows him from Major League.
Yeah, he does just the home games. He does a limited schedule because he's so old. But it was a treat. It was real good.
Yeah. Can't be mad at that. Major League was probably up there for me as a sports movie, and his contributions. To
it's great. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Oh, we actually could. It's not on here, but the WBC, it is the championship game. Like Jordan said, that Japan-Mexico game last night was great because Mexico was up 3-0, I think up until the 6th. And I know a lot of people were looking at that kind of surprised because Mexico wasn't expected to do that well. Japan, we know, is loaded with Ohtani and the guy from the Red Sox. I always butcher his name, but Yoshida. Okay, there we go. Masataka Yoshida. I remembered it. But Japan, is a hotbed for baseball talent. A lot of good hitters come out of there. And now we're starting to see a lot of pitchers who have great stuff because a lot of their pitchers that were there, I'm like, some of these guys need to be in MLB pretty soon because they have movement, not enough velocity. But the U.S., Trout, Betts, we've seen their lineup how stacked it is. So I'm sure it's going to be a great championship game. I'll probably check it, after the show. But have you guys watched any of it necessarily?
I watched a little bit, but like, how do they? Like I know there's some MLB players that are in the league, and then do they recruit like people from their country? Because some of them I haven't seen some of the players like before. Is it like young players, and then is it like? I wonder how you try out for the team. I guess obviously you have to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Play.
Yeah, so I mean, for the U.S., it's kind of like if the top stars want to play, they're gonna play. If you have to fill in anything, you'll probably go younger players around baseball. Some MLB players obviously go play for their countries, and
is it like it's like the soccer World Cup where they, if it's your national team, you play for them, or to like So
yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, so because the Red Sox they had Verdugo who was on Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico. I thought he was American, man. Because that kind of threw me off.
No, he wears like the Mexican flag on his cleats.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, so a lot of it's their version of Olympics, World Cup. They represent their country. They play with players that they probably grew up with. Playing little league in their country, and they just try to do it for their country. So yeah, this is basically the same format. World Cup, they're broken up into groups. You win your group, you go and play whoever. So it's the same format for sure.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like I watched some of last night's game. It was really exciting. It's a great way. It's a great tease to get people hyped up for baseball. That's a really big deal. With we're really just in a sports lull right now. Like March Madness is great, but that's going to end. Playoffs are starting to come up for NBA, but there's no NFL football right now. So the World Baseball Classic is a good way to showcase these elite players in games that mean something. Because what do they always say in April and May? Well, it's just a game. It's April. Wait till we see what we have in July, August, September. This has some games that mean something, and it's exciting. And I'll definitely be watching after this podcast. I'll start from the beginning of the championship game. It's really cool. It's also really cool to see Mike Trout play a game that matters, like a championship game. As great as he is, like he should be in high-profile games like this. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get those matchups also, like you said, Jordan. We get to see Trout stand in the box against Ohtani,
right?
Which unless you're at practice and they're a little side session, you may never see that. So fans will get to be like, if Ohtani were to strike out Trout when they go back to camp, they basically have like a week of spring training left.
Yep.
Cast some bragging rights around the clubhouse. So definitely get to see some matches.
Shohei, he's gonna be a free agent, right? Shohei after this year.
I think after this year.
So this season is very pinnacle. Like, see if they can, Max Trout can have a healthy season and they can be a top team in that division. But team's going to be in the running for him next year, like the Yankees, Mets, maybe LA can strike them a deal. If they can, if they have a good season this year, so it all depends on how they play. So
yeah, absolutely, and it showcases. For some guys who are playing overseas, some of these front offices in Major League Baseball pay attention, and they can sign one of these guys, bring them into camp, and see what they have. Because we see, a lot of Japanese players coming over. We see a lot of the Dominican, Cuban players come over as well. So for a lot of them, this is their shot to audition and really capitalize on their opportunity to make it in Major League Baseball, make some big money. So it's important for everybody that's over there, which makes it enjoyable to watch for sure. All the team celebrations and all that, it's just really, really, really fun.
It's not just a preseason tournament that's just there to like hype up. There's real stakes here. I saw an alert. I don't remember the player's name, but there was a Cuban player that didn't go home with the national team. He just stayed here. He's like, I'm just going to stay in the United States and play baseball here. I'm not going back to Cuba. He took this chance just to come to America and make a better life for himself. Like, that's a really cool story.
Yeah, I think I heard about that. I looked at young pitcher who struck out like some of the pro players, and I think they sounds like the Rays, like I think farm system. I think he was mad, like 20 years old, 19, and they signed him off because he was striking out like the top, like I think it's kind of like Juan Soto. I think he struck out So
Yeah, I think I might have been Juan Soto. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like for these guys, it's their shot to make a better life for themselves. Can't be mad at that.
No, it's really cool.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll go ahead and get into some NFL talk. Free
Let's do
agency as it started off with a bang, slowed down a little bit now, but we know all it takes is for a couple of players. Aaron Rodgers, if he gets traded, might pick back up again. You know, Lamar, whatever happens with him, free agency could kick off again. Some, Jerry Judy. There's other guys out there that DeAndre Hopkins. But my first question.
That's OBJ, where he will land.
Yeah. I'll get into him as well. But start with Lamar. So we know his situation. He's non-exclusive tag from the Ravens. Out there trying to see what his value is. If it's not what he's looking for, he has an offer with the Ravens he can go back to. Do we think Lamar gets resolved before the draft or after the draft? Now we can start with you, Jordan, since you were, the Ravens.
Yeah,
fan.
I would like it to, as a true diehard Ravens fan, I would like to see this happen before the draft because I've been seeing on Twitter and stuff that Lamar is holding us back from getting players. We're on the only team that really hasn't made a big splash because Lamar is holding us up. So I'd rather get him signed to a deal or have at least one offer sheet on the table from any team, and we can match it, and then we can worry about the money, the bet loading to the contract, so we can sign. Because once we get Lamar, we can start making moves. But right now, he kind of has on a chokehold right now. But I am excited to see what Lamar says in his kind of one-on-one documentary interview, because he might not say where his plans are. He might. It's an exclusive interview, so I'm pretty sure he's gonna relay out some information that because there's been some false narratives saying, oh, he doesn't like Baltimore. That's the media, because right now, like you said, Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson, that's the two top quarterbacks right now that are where they're gonna go next. I know it's the Jets for Aaron Rodgers, probably. Lamar is gonna be probably Baltimore at the end of the day. But those are the two top quarterbacks in the market that are being talked about right now. So I think, yes, to answer your question, I would like to see a deal or something get done before the draft. But like you said, even with the Aaron Rodgers deal, it could get stressed out until the draft. So, I think at the end of the day, he will end up with Baltimore because they will match the offer. But if Baltimore really doesn't want Lamar, they can get the 2 first-round draft picks. But whichever team is the Colts, I think they had the 4th-round pick, right? Or the third or fourth.
They were number 4.
So the question is, the Panthers came out and said, they're focused on the draft. So, they're out. Atlanta, maybe they still hold the 8th spot. So are they willing to give up that? The question is, what team's willing to give up that offer, knowing that Baltimore kind of lurking around the corner? Now, like Jake and everyone said, the Commanders might give a deal. I know Snyder's out the door in a couple weeks or whatever. Maybe he might do an outlandish deal that the Ravens can match. But I don't see if it's under it's just around $200 million or something like that, around up in that echelon of money. The Ravens can match, but if it's $450, $500 million, which I'm not going to see that happening. The Ravens can't match.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just go back to Anthony real quick, and appreciate you stopping by, Anthony. I know you're on a lot of shows in the chat. So he thinks Lamar will be a Raven, but he will hold out, which is an option in all this. If he goes out there, doesn't find the value he wants, begrudgingly signs the offer the Ravens have, he could then hold out and kind of do this all again next year, because he can play on that franchise tag number, of course, for one season. But like Anthony said, only in physical form, not necessarily get on the field. He just holds out, waste the year, and then try it all again following off season. See, you'll need to get the deal done before the draft so you can use them picks, which
maybe
yeah.
maybe get Lamar a contract, maybe get D Hop possibly, and then get like a receiver in the draft, or maybe if not, then get maybe a cornerback, or upgrade the defense a little bit with, maybe get that for the whole Calais Campbell. But maybe they're looking at a wide receiver, I think, in the first round. But yeah, like as he said, like get Lamar done, and then work with the drive.
Juan, appreciate you, Juan. You become a star on the Big Three in the chat. If the Ravens didn't give him an offer that he was happy with, it won't happen unless Lamar takes them to the promised land. Might be his last year in Baltimore, to be honest. It's business, and he's about business. Lamar might not hold out, but ball out for next offseason moves. All right, Anthony. Us Washington community don't want Lamar. Okay.
At the end of the day, it's all fair for us three to say, and people in the chat, that we don't know what's being discussed in closed doors. We don't know right now. We're just speculating of what's going on. Like, they can say this and that, but we don't know what their phone calls are like. We don't know what their back and forth is. It is whatever's being reported. So to be fair, we don't know what's happening as of right now at 7:18 p.m. Eastern time. We don't know.
There's a couple things that we could.
We
speculate
could speculate, but
that the Ravens, may have undervalued Lamar more than he's liked because he would have signed the deal that they offered before the season. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing we know is these teams that may be in on him are going to slow play this because they don't have to rush into it, giving up draft capital this year. If they could push it till after the draft, they make their picks this year, they could turn around, take Lamar on with the hope that the 2 picks they give them, which would be 24 and 25, are much lower in the first round. Then it's not that big of a deal for your fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And, so Lamar's going to have to kind of play the waiting game right now. I mean, like you said, he has this one-on-one sit-down, which I feel like no matter what he says, there's going to be Ravens fans who will try to read between the lines and come up with narratives. That's just bound to happen because that's what we do.
Ravens fans are not Ravens fans.
Like, it's the sports fans in general. Any sports fan.
But I was just saying, like, Ravens fans will read into him and they'll be like, oh, he's leaving for sure because he doesn't want to come back. Then there'll be Ravens fans like, the organization needs to sign him now.
I don't see where that narrative came from that he doesn't want to be a Raven. I don't see.
No.
I'm just saying. I don't see any proof of that.
I saw this with the Jaylen Brown thing I brought up last night.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that interview was done before the trade deadline, and now Celtics fans are like reading into it like, oh, he doesn't want to be in Boston. Which, if that was an issue, you would think the team would have traded him this trade deadline. So fans are going to do what they're going to do. The Ravens fans and sports fans that like Lamar will hear what he says and goes, oh, he's coming back definitely. The ones who don't like him will be like, he's gone, no matter what he says.
Right. Yeah, before Jake says his side, I do feel better that the Ravens did place him non-exclusive because I feel like Ravens fans will be even more mad because if they place the exclusive tag, that means there's more money. There's $45 million, and they can trade him off the bat. Now the Ravens are kind of like, hey, Lamar, you say that. I mean, obviously, yes, MVP quarterback, but let the other team test your market, see what you're worth. If a team comes back, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ravens know, and I get the question that I have now. If Lamar hadn't gone down at the end of the year 2 years in a row, would he have gotten a deal done? I think he would have, because that's like, he didn't get a deal.
That's a major factor, though.
It is, and the Ravens are smart because they know that no team is going to follow what the Browns did with Watson. I mean, yeah, maybe if he didn't get hurt, then yeah, give him the guarantee because you can be good. But teams don't want to follow that trend.
It only takes one owner
looking
to make a splash for the fans.
But my question is, what owner? What owner? Because the Falcons, I mean, they wanted Lamar, they were out. Then they got Taylor Heineke, and then
Taylor
they wanted to go
Heineke is
Ritter.
not keeping you out of the Lamar sweepstakes.
Taylor
I mean,
Heineke.
but they did get other pieces though, and for free agency, it's just kind of like they're.
Falcons still have, I think they have like 25 million, which is not enough to get Lamar necessarily. But
right now, yeah,
You can always work magic with
yeah,
the cap,
you can move that cap number up very easily. So yeah, Taylor Heineke, that's not going to take them out of the running.
He's their backup.
I mean,
That's what you bring Heineke
said.
for. Worst case, you start with Ritter. Ritter's not ready. You bring Heineke in. Heineke can get you some wins, 4 or 5 weeks until Ritter's ready. If you get Lamar, Heineke just backs up Lamar if Lamar gets hurt or something like that.
Doesn't matter what owner. I mean, unless it's like a ridiculous amount of money that the Ravens can't. I mean, people think that Ravens cannot make more money. They can restructure contracts. They can, maybe I could say Marlon Humphrey doing that, or.
I don't think it's a question of can Baltimore afford it. Sure, any team can make cap magic work. My Saints just always find ways to restructure contracts. The question is, do the Baltimore Ravens want to pay a contract that's going to be 45, 50 million a year guaranteed for X amount of years? And if they are, why didn't they just offer him what he wanted in the offseason and then save all this drama? Because there's hurt feelings on both ends. There's a lot of levels of disrespect that Lamar is feeling, that even if he comes back, it's not going to be the same when he comes back, because he's going to feel disrespected.
Well, I mean, he might feel disrespected with the front office, but the players love him, man.
Yeah, the players do love him, but you still have to play for the coach.
Oh yeah, I know.
You work for the GM, and you're going to be like, why can't I want an MVP? Why don't you want me? What else do I have to do if
I get it.
If Daniel Jones is getting, 45 million a year, why can't I get 45 million a year? That's the issue. And to answer the original question, I think the only way that this gets resolved before the NFL draft is if there's one team I can see that could make an offer where it would make a little bit of sense to go before the draft, and it's the Detroit Lions. Because they have 2 first-round draft picks. They have the 6th pick and the 18th pick. So they could do the 18th pick this year, next year's first-round draft pick, still keep that. I think it's the 6th pick. I can't remember exactly where it is. Let me look. Yeah, the 6th pick they got from the Rams. They still have a top 10 pick they can use. They have a ton of weapons. They can cut Jared Goff. I think he's a $10 million cap hit just to release him. It's a lot of money, but it's not that bad. Do you really think Jared Goff is going to have a repeat of next year, or do you want Lamar?
Didn't they get Thielen?
No,
was that?
No, he's in Carolina. I think he's in Carolina. But they have they have St. Brown. They have a ton of talent. They have Ben Johnson, who's a brilliant offensive corner. He resurrected Jared Goff's career. I thought Jared Goff was done. He looked fantastic. They have the weapons that Lamar's never really had. The NFC's wide open. The NFC North is completely wide open. I could see Detroit being like, yeah, you know what? It's screw it. What luck have we had with quarterbacks? I know they had Stafford, but they didn't have a whole lot of success with them. Let's throw our ring in there. We keep our top 6 pick. We lose 2 picks, and we make a serious run in the NFC North. If it's not them, if it's the Falcons, I know the Falcons said that they're out, but until it's done, I'm not believing it, because the Browns said they were done on Watson.
Yeah, I saw the front were the Colts, but that's
the Colts could do it too. Until it's done, I don't believe any team, if they say they're not into it, they could just be playing smart. Any of these other teams that have higher picks, they're going to want to wait till after the draft. They want to drag this out. They want to try and get a better offer, and they want their high value picks this year as opposed to next year's draft, where they'll be hopefully in the 20s or the late 20s with a better roster, with a better record than they had this year. But look out for the Lions. I think that would be really fun. I know, Jordan, it would be, as a fan to fan, I'd hate to see you lose your boy, but Detroit with that roster, Ben Johnson as the OC, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to watch.
I just don't think we're going to lose him. I think, like Anthony said, they're going to match any offer. That's why teams are so hesitant to, like a Colts, top 4 pick, top 3 pick. I mean,
if they're going to match any offer, just sign him. Why do you have to go on with the exclusive tag? That's my only concern.
And if
Or
I'm
the
the Colts,
non-exclusive tag, sorry.
I can risk the 4th pick on Lamar because I'm just going to use the 4th pick on a quarterback anyway. So if you're going to tell me, oh, I didn't get Bryce Young, but I got Lamar Jackson, I'm sure Colts fans aren't going to sit there and be upset by that. A team like that, they shouldn't have any issue giving up number 4.
Well, ask Anthony Price, man. He don't want him on the Commanders. Why not? He was, I don't.
I mean, Anthony,
man, how come you don't want Lamar, man?
Drop in the chat.
If y'all get him, are y'all Super Bowl bound? I don't know.
Well, he says he sees 5 teams that would trade for Lamar. Texans, I agree with that. Vikings, Falcons, New England, Lions.
It seems like a very un-Bill Belichick move, like not his typical MO to go after Lamar. But he also could be looking at like, I need to do something because otherwise I'm just going to be a 7-win team with how we've been doing without that star quarterback. I'd be shocked if it went to New England. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I would too, but we know Belichick likes to kind of go against his MO every once in a while. And I do think getting Lamar would definitely do that. I do know that Belichick loves Lamar, though, because that draft when he came out, I think he worked out for New England. I believe New England was planning on taking him at the bottom of the first round, but they decided not to. So I'm sure the interest is there. I just don't know if they would actually go ahead and do it. I mean, the 14th pick to get him, it's not that bad to give that up. So I wouldn't be mad at it. But the Texans that Anthony did bring up, that's a team that a lot of people haven't really been bringing up. But if you think about it, Texans are kind of like the Colts. They're going to use a top pick on a quarterback anyway. You put Lamar down there with Damian Pierce at running back. I mean, they don't have Brandon Cooks anymore, but you can find a wide receiver in the draft.
You can find better receivers in the draft than Cooks.
Yeah,
you can find better receivers than Cooks in the draft.
So
and Dalton Schultz as a tight end, which I didn't understand the move.
Do you think he's better than Mark Andrews, Schultz?
I mean, Schultz is a talented tight end. I'm just saying it would be a weapon for him to have down there. That division, yeah, Jacksonville looks like they'll probably own the division for the next couple of years, but behind them, Tennessee has a lot of questions. The Colts, we got to see what they're doing because they've been trending downward. So, it could be an easier path for them to the playoffs. I don't know. This story could go like 2 billion different ways. Anthony also says Ravens don't want to overpay for Lamar. That's true. Like, that's not any speculation. We know that for sure. They've set a mark, and they're going to try to keep to that. So, Jordan, like you said, it's whether or not some team wants to come out of the blue and just be like, fully guaranteed $250 million. What do you think? And then Baltimore has got to make a serious decision. Brett, what's going on, Brett? Dalton isn't better than Andrews, but he's talented for sure. Yes, I do like the Lions. He would make them real scary. Yeah.
So now let me ask the
panel. It'd be fun.
Yeah, so now let me ask the panel. Like, do y'all when it's all said and done, where do you see Lamar Jackson playing in? What uniform? If you had to say.
To me, the 2 teams that stand out the most is Detroit and Atlanta. They have very talented rosters. They have limited quarterbacks. They're both in the NFC that are very open. Their divisions especially are very open and very winnable. The NFC South is going to be garbage again. The NFC North, the Vikings aren't going to be a 13-win team. They're going to take a step back. Chicago's probably a year away, and we don't know what we're going to get with Green Bay and Jordan Love. So both of those divisions are wide open. If I'm either of those teams, like if you're Atlanta and all that talent that you have, you can't go with Riddler and Heineke. You can't just trot those guys out on week 1. The fans are going to riot, and rightfully so. I mean, as a Saints fan, I would love to see the Falcons trot those guys out. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as a GM, like you can't in good faith do that. And Detroit, I think this would be like where they're like, look, we're going to make big moves. We're going to be splashy. We're going to be fun. We're going to be on TV a bunch. And it could propel them to an 11 or 12 win season. I would guess one of those two teams over Baltimore. I just think that if he was going to go to Baltimore, done already. That's my gut reaction to it, is that if he was going to go back to Baltimore, he would have already been signed to something more than just a franchise tag.
Okay. I feel like, okay, so for me, I'm thinking if Lamar hasn't gone back to Baltimore after the draft, I think he's gone. I think then teams.
Well, they have until July 17th to get a deal done, so it's like for the Ravens.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, with the draft, coming up in April, if teams wait that long, they make their picks. I feel like then teams will start making offer sheets to him, because now they'll know what their team's going to look like for Lamar to come into, and they'll be like, all right, we bring Lamar and we have this on the outside, we have this at tight end, this running back, our offensive line is like this, we know what we're getting, Lamar knows what he's getting into, let's go forward. I do think, like I said, the Atlanta thing about being out makes zero sense. If you bring Lamar to Atlanta, he automatically becomes the biggest star in the city. Sorry, Trae Young, Lamar would be more popular than you. You're in a division that Tampa Bay is going to take a step back for sure. Carolina could be dangerous, but I have to know who's their quarterback next year. And then the Saints, you have Derek Carr. We have to see what that looks like. Lamar comes in. They've already, they have Drake London. They brought in Mac Hollins. Supposedly they're looking at Mecole Hardman. They have Jonnu Smith to go with Kyle Pitts if Kyle Pitts can stay healthy. You have Cordero Patterson at running back. You draft a couple of offensive linemen. Now your offense looks a little better if Lamar is there. Defensively, they made some moves as well. So that's a team that you bring in Lamar could vault up to the top of the division next year. So I think they'd have to be in on him. That's for whatever reason that they're saying that they're not, but I think they're definitely keeping an eye on him. That
team goes 6-2 in their division, bare minimum. They lose
Easily.
Probably one game to the Panthers and one game to the Saints.
Because they always
because the Saints and Falcons, that rivalry is going to split. Like, you go 6-2, the rest of the NFC is wide open. You're talking, I'd say, bare minimum an 11-win team with Lamar, because they almost went to the playoffs with just garbage quarterback play. You add in Lamar, you add in the weapons. I just think I don't want to see it, Jordan. I don't want to see him in Atlanta. Like, as much as you don't want to see him leave Baltimore, I don't want to see him in Atlanta. But it just makes a lot of sense for Atlanta to go for it. And after the draft is when it'll happen.
Yeah,
if it happens.
I mean, I would be like in tears on TV. Oh, I had the comments that, I mean, yes, you're right. They should have. I think they screwed up. They should have signed. They should have signed to a deal after his rookie his MVP season. I agree. That's where they screwed up at. But I mean, I'd be lying if I say I'm not. I'd be lying if I say I'm not confident, and I am that he will be in a Baltimore uniform next year, because there's two sides to every story. There's the side where, yes, there's teams that are win now mode. They want to get that quarterback. Lamar can get him up there, but then there's teams that, oh wow, the Ravens can match an offer, whatever we do. So it's like, that's sort of. I feel like the Ravens will match an offer. They have 5 days to make up their minds, and if not, then I'll say, okay, the Ravens did what they can, or did all they could. So, but so where I'm confused at, because the Ravens have until July 17th, but if he gets traded, they don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah, once he's traded, he's off the books, and they're done. Like, he'll be with the other team.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I guess my last question for you, Jordan, would be:
if they do match an offer, do they still have July until the 16th or 17th to make a new offer, or they have to keep that offer?
They keep the offer. Whatever he agrees is his new contract. Yeah, whatever. So let's say Atlanta signs an offer. They offer whatever it is, the max, whatever deal he wants. Baltimore doesn't sign it. That's a new contract. There's no non-exclusive tag. There's no It's just like how Derek Carr for the Saints got his new deal, or Daniel Jones for the Giants got his new deal. It's the exact same parameters once he signs the contract.
Yeah. So either that happens, or he goes out there. There's nothing there. He can, sign the franchise tag for the 1 year, $35 million or whatever, and then go through all this again next year. Probably, the Ravens would put another tag on him, because you can tag a player back-to-back years, and then that's it. So we might be in the same situation next season. But Anthony brings up, how do you feel about Lamar to the Titans?
We'll say the coach offered him like a 5-year, $230 million deal, and it Ravens matched that. They don't have to worry about slapping the tag on him next year, right?
Yeah, no. Then he signed to that contract. Once, if Baltimore were to match a contract, then that's Lamar's new contract, fully guaranteed. He can't be slapped on any franchise tag or anything until he's a free agent.
Yeah.
But as far as Anthony, for Lamar to the Titans, I guess I just would wonder why Lamar would want to go to Tennessee. That doesn't seem like
they don't really have receivers. They're about to let go of Derrick Henry.
It doesn't seem like a better situation than Baltimore. Tennessee seems to be a team that really isn't able to make up their mind as far as, do they want to tear everything down? Do they want to try and contend in a very weak division? They have a fantastic coach. That's the hard part. Our coach is fantastic. Yes. He won Coach of the Year last season and deserved it. And he could argue who should have been in the running this year because of how good he is. So it's hard to rebuild when you have a coach that gets so much out of it. I just don't see where he would want to sign that and go to a team that doesn't have great receivers, doesn't have a whole lot of offense for him to work with. And I don't know if Tennessee would want to sign that big contract and then also have to deal with losing the draft picks while trying to kind of revamp their offense. So I don't know if Tennessee would even make that move. It'd be interesting. If I was Lamar, I wouldn't want to sign there, though. I may as well just say in Baltimore if that was the case.
To play the other side.
Go for it.
Tennessee could sell him on. Look, this season might be rough, but we have a plan. And, you'll have, I don't even know who their top wide receivers was, like Westbrook.
Oh, was it Burks?
Oh, yes, Treylon Burks, yes. So they go.
And he hurt, was really good, but he got concussed, right?
I think so. Something like, yeah. So they go, look, you got Treylon Burks. You make a connection with him this season. Next season, we draft whoever. We'll free up some money. We'll, plug some holes, tight end, whatever. It may look bad now, but we will get better over like the last 4 years of the 5-year deal. This division wide open outside of Jacksonville. We think you could dominate this division. Why not? And if he looks at that and then looks at Baltimore and goes, if I go back to Baltimore, what am I going back to? I mean, as Anthony put it, name one great wide receiver on the Ravens.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So Lamar goes, I'm going back to Bateman. Andrews, yes. Love him.
He's a tight end, though. Like, you can only do so much with a tight end unless you're Kelsey.
Duvernay's nice. He's a good return guy. He's a good receiver. He got hurt. I mean, he's not a top receiver, but
it's pretty bleak.
Well, I'm just saying. So Lamar's like, I'm going back to Bateman, Duvernay. Free agency's over, so that's basically the team I'm going to be looking at outside of if they draft somebody. And as Brett put, I got Joe Burrow in Cincinnati there every year harassing me. I've got Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett improving. I know Mike Tomlin's a great coach. Pittsburgh's
Kenny Pickett's not bad. From what I saw,
what's Joe Burrow's record against us? Like it's like 1-1, or who is? I mean, is he really?
I don't know, man.
I don't want to go up against.
I don't think the Bengals. I don't think Joe Burrow owns the Ravens. I mean, they only played a couple times.
He may not own the Ravens, but he's at worst case the third best quarterback in the league, and you don't want to be going up against the third best quarterback in the league twice a year if you can help it.
I mean, Lamar like what top top five.
Yeah,
Top
he's
six.
a top 10. I'll say he's easily a top 10
Yeah.
quarterback.
True.
But Joe Burrow is like there's tiers, and like Mahomes is here at the top, and then I think it's Hurts and Burrow, and then after that you can get to different pecking orders.
Yeah, you
And it's
throw
just,
in whoever
would you
want.
rather go up against Kenny Pickett? I think he's going to be good. The Steelers are a great run organization. You have Joe Burrow. We'll see what Watson can do. I'm kind of writing off this year as like a doesn't really count. We'll see what he can do with the full offseason. Or would you rather go against the A? I'm almost convinced now that Tennessee is not a bad option because you only have one good quarterback in the AFC South, and franchises that have typically been pretty crappy, like Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, all haven't been great franchises this past decade. Like it's not bad, and Baltimore's a cool place, but I'll tell you what, Nashville's a party town. I don't know if any of y'all have been there, but Nashville is a freaking awesome place to go.
I mean, Lamar is
if
like,
you want to have a good time.
Well, I'm not sure when Joe Burrow came in, but Lamar is 6-2 against the against the Bengals. So it's like I don't think they own Lamar.
Again, it's
If
not
you
the
look
head-to-head
at
record.
if you look at both franchises,
Well, yeah, they
Bengals
have the better
been to a
receiver.
Super Bowl. They are in a better position than Baltimore is right now, and I'm still holding out hope with Watson because I saw how great he was with Houston. If that Watson comes back, Cleveland becomes dangerous in that division as well. So
the AFC North has always been a tough division.
Yeah.
It always has, and I get that the Ravens are a good team. They're a good franchise. They're a part of what makes the AFC North so good. But Cincinnati's a good team, and it's just so much easier not to go up against a top tier quarterback. I'm sure, my dad has been a Dolphins fan his whole life, and he's hated the past 20 some odd years. I've seen Tom Brady twice a year. No matter what the Dolphins did, you had to go up against Tom Brady twice a year, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for teams in the AFC West for that to go against Mahomes now. You just don't want to see it if you can avoid it. And I think that's the point.
I mean,
that
Lamar is 14-8 against teams in the AFC, so it's like it's not like he's 8-14.
No,
so
we're not ragging on him. We're just saying.
Anthony said
if
he
you're
goes to the
comparing,
NFC, but when he owns the AFC, basically. Well, not
Well,
the
he
past
doesn't
couple years.
own the AFC. I wouldn't go that
14-8. What's Joe Burrow's record against the AFC?
He's 1-3
Joe
in
Burrow
the
won the
playoffs, so he
AFC.
doesn't own the AFC.
I know, but did they get? Did
If
they
you
win
own the
ring?
AFC, you're Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes has been
Well, I'm saying,
Conference
I'm the
championship
AFC
games and
North.
Super Bowl.
I'm
That's owning the
sorry,
AFC.
AFC North.
AFC
I'm in
North.
AFC North, yeah.
No, like
It's been
he's-
Ravens, Bengals, Ravens, maybe Browns.
When it's more of just like, hey, the NFC's wide open,
why
like
would I go to
Detroit,
NFC
like I said
when
earlier.
I'm saying what Anthony said because go to NFC, but why go NFC?
What's a top quarterback in the NFC? You have Hurts.
It's Hurts. It's Jalen Hurts. Like,
That's
here's the
about
thing
it.
that's going to be really fun is you're going to get Jalen Hurts. Like, how far? And I'm saying this as a Saints fan. I'm not being a homer here. I'm saying how many quarterbacks in the NFC are you going to get to before you get to Derek Carr as top quarterbacks in the NFC? That's not good for the NFC. Like, I understand Derek Carr has his limitations and he's not an elite quarterback. So if Lamar again goes to Detroit, like he's the best quarterback in the conference, maybe second. I might put Jalen Hurts after what I saw this season. Top 2 quarterback in the conference. You're looking at a much easier path to get to the Super Bowl as opposed to the AFC that's just a complete gauntlet of top tier quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, AFC has a gauntlet of quarterbacks better than compared to the AFC. And plus, I guess I hate to say it, but if Aaron goes to the Jets, it's not a.
If Aaron goes to when he goes to the Jets, he'll be like the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the AFC.
Yeah.
Well, let's just be real. That's
So I'm not disagreeing about the talent and the QB talent and that's top tier. Like, yeah, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrows, Herbert. I get it. Like now that the talent has shifted it to the AFC, but it's like, I get if you play an NFC, it's an easier path now. But it's like, why leave when if we can if we can match a trade and we can start getting things done. Getting maybe a DJ Chark or a D Hop, or once a deal gets done or we match an offer, it's like.
So, well, that's kind of where the Ravens come into this as well, because if they were to sign Lamar to a 5-year deal, they have to think in those 5 years, do we move any higher than we are now? And if not, is it worth going and extending ourselves that much to bring him back to kind of stay level while we're seeing Kansas City up here, Cincinnati, Russell Wilson's getting Sean Payton. Maybe they move past him. Who knows? But that's the part of this where the Ravens have to look at it. Yes, Lamar, the talent, love to have him. But if Lamar, the talent, means we lose out on, I don't know, some major piece on the defense, or we can't get a top wide receiver or something like that, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, because I'm looking at the conference. I'm looking at the AFC conference. I mean, it was the Chiefs, Buffaloes, Bengals, LA, and then we were right behind LA in the standings. So it's not like we were that down from the totem pole. So it's
but you missed the playoffs.
No, we were in the playoffs.
Oh, that's right. No, you made the playoffs. That was last year. You missed the playoffs. Sorry, my apologies. No, you made the playoffs this year. Sorry.
What?
Jordan's about to leap through his screen on me.
Oh shit!
All right, so we'll do this then. Lamar comes back.
More time.
I'm saying Lamar comes back. Looking at the AFC right now, where do you slot Baltimore with Lamar back?
If in the conference, you mean?
Yeah, in the conference, in the AFC.
I think we move up. So I think we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're 5th because think about it.
So
I mean, I'd be right behind the Bengals. But we might get number 2 because Allen. People are on Allen, Josh Allen right now, and Stephon Diggs in that whole situation. So I mean, we can be in like the third. I'd say. Well, last year was Kansas City 1, Buffalo 2, Bengals 3, but the whole game situation kind of messed up the whole standing or whatever. But Jacksonville was right behind us at 7, so I mean I think we moved a couple spots.
I'd say that Baltimore's. I'll say this:
you slide down with Lamar Jackson back.
I think the AFC is going to be a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Because
I would say,
go ahead, Kyle. I'll let you get your take.
Go ahead.
So I would say Kansas City better.
Yeah.
I would say Cincinnati better.
So there'll be 2. You said so behind the Chiefs.
Just looking at like Super Bowl odds, I'd say Cincinnati better. To be honest with you, Calvin Ridley now implemented to Jacksonville. I might say Jacksonville's better.
Jacksonville had a really second half. They really shrunk the year.
Yeah, but I mean, they're 9-8, but
I'm saying,
but that second half was really good, though.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I could look at. I mean, even though I don't like Staley, but on paper, Chargers are a very talented team.
I mean, Keenan Allen though, he's a free agent, isn't he? Or
no, Keenan Allen was a possible trade guy.
Oh, he's still on the roster?
Yeah, and their owner came out and said Keenan Allen's not going anywhere. So it looks like he's going to
Eckler's the question mark on the offense.
Yeah, Eckler's the guy who might
get traded.
You can replace running backs. Running backs, you don't
easy position to replace.
You don't lose sleep over running backs leaving. Not anymore.
Nope. Especially an injury-plagued running back like Eckler. And I love Eckler. He's a great running back, but he gets hurt a lot too.
Yeah. Now, depending on what Sean Payton does in Denver, that could be a team that moves ahead of Baltimore.
What about Buffalo? What do you think about Buffalo compared to Baltimore?
Josh Allen has to do it now without Dable. It's been too far removed from him. I've seen him regress each year. I'm not going to confidently put him up there anymore. He's now in a group where he has to prove it to me.
Yeah, I think he kind of slid down. Because you got Diggs complaining about, and
it's not even the Diggs stuff. It's just the performance you get with Josh Allen, where
Josh
Allen's ceiling when he's playing his best, he's as good as Mahomes in a different way. But the problem is his floor is just bad. It's just really bad turnover play, and the other top quarterbacks, their floor isn't that low.
Yeah, he almost got beat by third string quarterback in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, the game against Miami, they were lucky to win that game. They were very
Allen
lucky
was
to win
horrible.
that game.
Not
It was
horrible.
terrible.
He was.
It was Skylar Thompson. I think that was the quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was terrible. They should have lost that game.
Josh Allen takes too many unnecessary risks for me. Brett goes, would you rather go through a combination of Hurts, Dak, Kirk, Goff, I'm assuming. I don't know why I read that as Jeff. It's Goff, Carr, Stafford, Purdy in the playoffs, or run a gauntlet of any combination of Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, Rodgers, Tua.
Even Herbert's want to prove it to me a year because what has he done in the playoffs? He just got shellacked by the Jaguars for 28 points, 27 points.
Yeah.
So
Brett makes
in the playoffs.
Yeah, Brett makes a good point though. Like when we're saying when
people
are saying in the chat,
if I
go to the NFC, which one's going to be easier? That's a fantastic point.
But does Lamar want that? Lamar is he's a go-getter, man. He wants that competition, so it's like I don't think he would want to.
Yeah, but there's also some teams in the NFC that are fit. They're fit for him. They're ready for him, and they have an offense. And it's like no one's gonna look. No one looks back at the Rams last year with their Super Bowl win and go, we need to put an asterisk next to it because the NFC was so much weaker than the AFC. Like no one does that for Super Bowl champions. You win the ring, you're a champion. It doesn't matter if you're in the harder conference or not. And if I'm Baltimore, I'd say their absolute ceiling is the third best team in the conference, and that's with them. Assuming they make moves to help the offense to get wide receiver help from Lamar. I see again, Kansas City better, Cincinnati's better.
Yeah, that's no argument.
I think Jacksonville has the potential to be better. The Chargers, I don't like their coach, and they seem to have bad injury luck, but that always seems to plague them. But yeah, Justin Herbert, does he need to prove it to me? Sure, I want to see him improve, but they have a lot of talent on that team. I think you're looking at probably, when it's all said and done, probably fifth in the conference is probably where the Ravens are going to be if they keep Lamar. Is probably at the fifth best team, and so the Ravens have to look at it and be like, do we want to pay a quarterback all that money and be a fifth seed?
Well, like a year ago, we were second in the East or AFC conference.
You can't look at the past at this point. You got to look.
Yeah, this time last year, I could have said the Saints were one drop away from going to the Super Bowl. Like you can always do. You can't just look back in the past. The NFL changes. It's so cyclical every single year that you have to look at what the future holds.
But it's like y'all think that we're going to make a big drop off of. I mean, if Lamar does come back, I mean, the free agency is not over yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
well, who's available is what I want to know. Is who's available to improve the team
as far as like wide receivers or. I think there's D-Hop, Jerry Jeudy.
Because don't they have to replace Calais Campbell? They have to do that as well. Which, I mean, draft-wise, you could do that, but Campbell also was a leader on that team.
We still could bring him back if we get Lamar back.
He could, yeah. I mean, Campbell.
Because they didn't really close the door on him. He just said, "Okay, we're going to release him, but he's more welcome to come back." So I mean, but he did make a visit with the Falcon, I think today. I think so. Just for invite, but put up Anthony Price's comment for me, man. Jordan the Homer one. I mean,
is he wrong?
I mean, I'm definitely. I mean, I'm a diehard Ravens fan. I mean, how would you feel if your quarterback got an MVP and you wouldn't want to let you wouldn't want him to be like, "Oh, your team, right, Anthony?" Like,
no. So look, I'll put it this way, like Jordan, like I'm a diehard Utah Jazz fan, and this offseason, Donovan Mitchell we knew he was going to be gone. Like the likelihood of him being traded was, even though he didn't ask to be traded, was gone, and I accepted it. Like. It sucks. I love Donovan. Like he's my boy. When he came to the Jazz, he was my guy. And it sucks to see him leave. But I also knew it was going to happen. Like it sucks, but it's part of what happens in the NFL. And so I'm a diehard fan, but I think the Homer comment comes from your overt optimism for the Ravens being like the third best team in the conference.
I didn't say that. I said fifth because we were sixth. I said fifth. Could be right behind the Chargers.
Yeah, you said
for next year though, where do you have them?
I say fifth. So we move up a spot, and like Kyle said, I don't trust the Buffalo right now with how Allen's playing. So maybe fourth. Maybe those Bengals slide up, and then we slide up right behind them. So maybe fourth or fifth, I'd say.
Like,
If we
my
get
only
Lamar.
concern with Baltimore is what have they done to improve the team from last year that seemed to kind of struggle heading into the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, y'all
That's
had a
my
QB
concern.
trip of QBs, man. Y'all had like RG3. Y'all had Kirk Cousins. Y'all had that didn't work. Y'all had Alex Smith. He got hurt, but y'all had a QB carousel of QBs, and I got
Hey, you don't
Brissett.
have to throw it in Anthony's face what Washington's gone through.
I mean,
He
he's saying
knows.
that. All right. Like, damn.
I mean, Lennon,
Well,
you know,
I
you
mean,
just
I
jumped in.
didn't even how you doing, man?
I mean, welcome to the show, Lennon.
How's it going?
What's your thoughts on Lamar before we move to a different topic?
Honestly, I feel like I mentioned it in the group chat earlier. I feel like, maybe him staying midway through Baltimore, trying to work out a deal with them, and maybe just seeing if he can go somewhere where maybe he's not, or he's the number one option where he could be mobile and not have a star running back to join him. Honestly, I've said before that I feel like Houston would be a good spot for him to go because they're currently in a team rebuilding, needing a franchise quarterback just to get them to that next step. I'm not going to say they're going to be like playoff bound in the next couple of years if they do get Lamar, but it'd be a start.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Anthony once again comes with
Eighth. I mean,
Rays right now is the 8th best team in the AFC. Just saying.
So you had the Colts over them. Who do you have
No.
over the Ravens? I mean,
I'm assuming he's going. So let's just take the AFCs. I'll go from the divisions and see. He may still have Buffalo ahead of him. It might be a slightly.
Wait, don't do it for Anthony. Let's see his order.
I'm
in
sure
the list.
I could probably work it out. Well, I mean, Anthony can tell me if I'm wrong. So Miami, if you're telling me Tua's healthy, I would say Miami is better than Baltimore.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
A lot of people would say the Jets if they get Aaron Rodgers. You know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I'm not going to give them no shine. I say, fine. You can say that they're better. Patriots get DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not going to really put that out there.
We don't call Jordan a homer. Come on, Kyle.
I'm not gonna, I just said I was just joking.
Currently,
I would say
if Lamar gets done.
Might be a wash though, but I would
Might
say
be a
Baltimore better than
might be a bidding war
better
for
than they're
the-
right now.
Mhm.
But if you look at
really.
just right there. AFC North, Bengals better. If you tell me Watson is Texans Watson, maybe. But I'd probably put them behind Baltimore still. And I think the Steelers are coming up. So we'll say Baltimore's safe in their division right now. The
Yeah.
South, Jacksonville, yes.
Yep.
Houston, I wouldn't say. Colts, I wouldn't say. Tennessee, I wouldn't say. AFC West, Kansas City, yes. Chargers, I think yes.
Damn, here the Ravens.
Denver, because of Sean Payton, I would say yes. Raiders, no. I'm not going with the Raiders. All right, so Anthony put up his list.
Chiefs, Bills,
Chargers,
Chargers,
Bills,
Jets.
Cincy,
Jets.
Jaguars, Dolphins. I basically hit on all of these things, so
Yep. AFC's
all of the
tough.
Jets one.
I don't know. I'd say Baltimore's probably maybe fourth best.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, let's say coming into this year though, like you think they're fourth best?
Mm,
That's where we're basing off the. I mean,
I just
I mean,
want to
because
see
last year they were sixth or fifth, right behind Chargers. So I think we move up a spot, like in fifth.
what would make you think that they would improve a spot if they haven't improved their roster so far.
I mean, the free agency just started like what, a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but
A
like
lot of names
a
are
lot
off
of the
the
good
board.
guys are gone.
I
Is the
get that.
problem.
There's some pieces that are still on. Like we have DJ Chark, we have draft. Obviously, we have free agency still. Free
If
agency
you
doesn't
think
really
DJ
end.
Chark moves the needle for
No,
the
it doesn't move
Ravens,
the meter,
I don't know
but
if
it gets
it does.
No,
I mean, I like
think
DJ
it moves the
Chark too,
meter.
but I'm just saying I don't know if that's a move Ravens fans will look at and be like, "You got to trade for D-Hop."
Every team's talking about D Hop, and it's just going to matter
Yeah.
where he lands. Like everyone's talking about D Hop. So my point is, it's hard for me to say that they're going to improve and go step up when they haven't improved on paper yet.
Okay.
I get it. That's fair. But I mean,
I mean, we can revisit like after the draft, see what they do in the draft. Maybe
Yeah, sure, we
more
will.
optimism.
Because I'm pretty sure once something gets on with Lamar, the floodgates will open up and we'll start signing players, man. So whoever's open on the market, whoever's available.
I mean, I don't even know because wide receivers, like it seems like everybody's gone except
The only one that's going to move the needle is D-Hop, and everyone's asking for him. So it's going to be through the draft.
You think
Most likely
Odell
for
would be able a
Baltimore.
little bit, or
Who's that?
do you think Odell would be able to help out a little bit, or do you think?
Interest? Yeah. I think they stay healthy, but it's
My
that's
question-
the thing with OBJ. Yeah,
My concern with
anything.
Odell is that he wants a big price tag, and look, I love OBJ. He's a fantastic talent, but you can just find receivers that can do what he can do and not pay him $20 million, like Odell apparently is wanting in that range.
I've been hearing stuff that he said that he didn't say 20 million. I heard it was something closer to 10 to 15.
Yeah,
well, I mean, if that's true, I think 10 to 15 you could handle a little more. Because I do remember the report where it was like 15 to 20. I was like, that might be stretching
That's
it,
too
but 10 to
much.
15,
Yeah.
that's not a bad move to bring him in.
I was thinking more like 9 to maybe 12 million, just because he's coming off that torn ACL and he didn't play at all last year. I just feel like he just needs to prove himself just a little bit more that he's back.
Right, I agree with that.
Is there,
all right,
is
so
there
let
a
me.
list of like current available wide receivers? I try to look that up, but
I guarantee you, the names you see, you might squint at a few of them. Like, who's that dude?
There's not a lot left.
Judy,
and-
Brandon Ayuk, Mac Evans, Brandon Cooks, he's gone. T. Higgins, that's like a big.
You got to trade for
Brandon
those
Hopkins.
guys.
and
Isn't
I don't
because
think
Higgins is still under
Higgins is
contract?
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Saints.
Higgins' contract ends next season, so the talk is that
Yeah.
Cincinnati is going to potentially trade him for some value because they can't afford to sign him next offseason. That's my understanding. I
But
could be wrong.
Cincinnati came out and said that they're willing to put the money in the wide receivers, which means Mixon's probably the guy who's on his way.
Probably.
Michael Hardman's on, but I think you did it short.
Hardman's not going to move the needle because he wasn't. If he's not going to stand out as an elite receiver with Mahomes, like he's not going to stand out as elite receiver with any quarterback.
Yeah.
All right, so I got two quick questions to finish out the NFL.
Let's
So-
do it.
We don't have to like go into them too in depth. Rodgers looks like he's going to go to the Jets. He goes there. What is the ceiling for the Jets next season?
Round.
Do they win the division?
That's their best ceiling. I see him. That's tough. That division's hard. There's a lot of. We don't know what we're going to get with Josh Allen. We don't know what we're going to get with Tua. Those are the two big question marks at quarterback, and so it's hard to say they're going to win the division. I'd say they're probably likely going to be a wild card team. I don't think I think Aaron Rodgers is more likely to be closer to this past season's Aaron Rodgers than the two MVP seasons we saw the two previous years. I think he's closer to what he is now. I think their ceiling is 10, 11 wins, and they win in the wild card round and then lose in the divisional round. I think that's their absolute ceiling. It's probably the right move for the Jets because they haven't been to the playoffs since like 2010, and they've never really had a run with like something like this before, a quarterback outside from Brett Favre, ironically. So I think I don't hate the deal, but I don't see them getting to an AFC championship game. If they were in the NFC with that roster and everything, maybe, but not in the AFC.
All right, Lennon, you agree?
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like I don't agree on the win total. I feel like Rodgers is going to struggle the first couple weeks just trying to get used to a new team that he's after leaving Green Bay after 18 years, something like that. And I feel like they will make the wild card, but as a 8 to 9 win team. But I don't see them getting out of the wild card.
Okay, Jordan, what do you think? Division winner, wild card team. What do you think?
I think
the Jets
the team is a wild card team. Just Miami got better on defense with Brandon Ramsey. They still got Tyreek Hill. Can it be better than the Bills? I don't, because like we said, it's kind of a proven year deal, like proven year for Allen as far as like playoff, abilities, and because and then we had the Patriots. What moves did they still make in the free agency and draft? So it's like, yeah, it does make them a win, like like a playoff mode, team mode this year. But it's like, yeah, I see the wild card spot, wild card playoff team.
Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah, I
Kyle?
agree. That's their ceiling, probably the wild card. I've already said, a lot of these media people who think you put Rodgers on them and they're automatically in the AFC title game or something. I think they're still far away from that because I've seen what Rodgers has turned into, and I just don't think I don't think he gets to another title game, to be honest with you. Whether he stayed in Green Bay, goes to the Jets, I think those days are behind him. So wild card team for me. Brett says they can be better than the Dolphins, but I don't trust Tua to stay healthy. Big part of that feeling. I do agree.
Don't
Tua's
sleep
held
on
his
Brady
own.
to the Dolphins, though. I wouldn't be shocked if come
He
August he ends up
says he's
going
taking
back.
care of his cat. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Once
why
again,
he's
just
retired.
just like with Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to believe Tom Brady's retired until he's in a Fox booth doing the color commentary. I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it for Brady. He's haunted me for my entire life as a NFL fan. I'll believe it when I see it.
I don't know. He may just come down during halftime and just suit
You
up.
never know. You never know. Might just say, "Sorry, Fox, I need to go suit up."
All of a sudden, he's at a Patriots game. They're down by like 28, and he's like, time to do it again.
Yeah. John Suggs, appreciate you tuning in, says, wasn't Jets over salary? Then with these new additions, aren't they back over it and still haven't gotten Rodgers? I'm sure Green Bay going to eat some of that contract, but still a lot of money to restructure over the whole team. Good point. I mean, I guess you could kind of work some of that out in the trade. Green Bay taking back. I feel like Green Bay probably has to get one of the young wide receivers back. Because if you're going to sign Lazard and Cobb and all these guys, is there really a point of keeping all those guys on that roster if they're not going to play? So maybe they get Elijah Moore, who wanted to get traded last year. So I mean, they'll find a way to get the cap room to fit Rodgers in for sure. But that's a good point, though. They are, I think, currently over.
Yeah, they'll have to sacrifice some players for that. Yep. And the big thing as far as the contract goes is that the only thing the Packers take on for the salary cap is the cap hit because he signed the extension, the new deal last offseason. But that doesn't help the Jets at all. It's just the way the contract is structured. The Packers have like 30 or 40 million in dead cap money. But that doesn't help the Jets with their salary cap situation.
Right. Let's see. All right, so last question I have for NFL before we move on to NBA. OBJ, where do you think he ends up? It's probably a tough question to ask, but you're going to Vegas, going to put money down on a team. Where do you think OBJ ends up?
Who were the actual suitors? Was it the Ravens and I think Chiefs or something like that? But they were interested.
I believe that the workout was Ravens, Chiefs, Patriots, Bills. He's talked about the Giants. So, I mean, you could start there, but I'm pretty sure any number of teams would look to add him if they could.
Maybe the Eagles?
I don't think the Eagles are going to have the cap space is the problem. They're having a hard enough time right now retaining their players from their Super Bowl run that they had to the Super Bowl. I don't see them wanting to get a third wide receiver for $12 million when they could find something much cheaper in the draft. I could see the Giants being this great come home Odell, come back home, come help Daniel Jones. We have a good coach now. We have a good culture. Come back. I could see him doing that. Otherwise, I see I feel like in my gut that Dallas is just going to pull it and overpay him, and just Jerry Jones is going to Jerry Jones. He's going to do what he's going to do. But those are the two teams that I see. I probably lean towards the Giants just for Odell wants to play in a big market. He seemed to like New York. He seemed to like the press and the attention that it gets. And the Giants need help at wide receiver, so it kind of makes sense in both ways.
Jordan, where do you think he ends up?
Probably the Ravens, and they were probably the team that are interested though. That I think it was who were like actually like engaged in OBJ. So I say the Ravens.
Okay, I mean that would be an interesting move if they were to bring in OBJ, but we'll see. Lennon, what do you think?
Part of me wants to be biased and say the Patriots just because I feel like Odell to the Patriots would be a good move. But thinking on it, honestly, I could see New Orleans. They're an upcoming team in the NFC South. They just got Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara is going to serve that suspension. But
I feel that face, man.
Jake would love that.
That's
man,
my team. I'm a Saints fan, Lennon. And
oh, really?
yeah, so it could if it's the right number, like if it's 10 million is a number I'd feel comfortable with. I think it'd be great. I think the important thing is like they have good receivers. Chris Olave is a complete stud. Derek Carr does need some better weapons to throw to. It could be fun. I don't know how well he would do in a small market, even though New Orleans is a party town. It's still a small market. But I could see it. If it's the right number, I wouldn't hate it.
How much did you guys re-sign Michael Thomas to?
I think the cap hit was like 10 million. Let me look real quick on his contract.
Yeah, because he restructured his
he restructured it. Let me see what.
Oh, when you restructured it, wasn't a re-sign?
Yeah, it was a 1 year, $10 million contract.
Okay.
I feel like if you guys give Odell the same amount, I feel like him and Michael Thomas and Chris Olave will be fighting for that wide receiver 1 position.
Chris Olave's got to be wide receiver 1. You got to build.
Is Jarvis Landry still on the Saints? Or
Nope.
he's
He's with. Who is he with?
Is he a free agent?
I think
Maybe he'll go to Baltimore.
Wasn't he? I do think Landry is a free agent right now, though. I think he is.
Wait, no.
Because he was with the Saints last year.
Was? Oh yeah, he was. He was with Cleveland the year before he went to the Saints.
He was with the Saints.
Yeah,
he
that's
got
what
hurt
I
a
keep
lot
thinking.
though.
Yeah, he's a free agent, but
He signed like a 1 year deal, or what did he sign? Like
Yeah, and he's a
1 year
free
deal?
agent. As far as I can
I
tell,
didn't
he's a
realize
free
he.
agent.
How did you like him, Jarvis Landry? Did he even play that much?
He didn't. I don't remember. He didn't play very much. He was hurt a lot. Let me see if I'll pull up the stats real quick. But I was excited. I'll put it this way: when the thought of maybe Michael Thomas comes back, we have Chris Olave. I was excited, and he just overwhelmed. He catches for 272 yards. He was hurt. He played 9 games and hurt early and just disappointed. I know part of it's injury, but it was a disappointment. I was way more excited than what he turned out to be.
Yeah.
Let's see. So John Suggs said OBJ to Raiders, Dolphins, 49ers, Pats.
They don't need OBJ. They got Waddle and Tyreek. That's all they need, man.
I was thinking 49ers, but I feel like with the stack team they already have, I feel like he just wouldn't really get that many. Look.
Yeah. And then John threw out the Panthers, especially if they get CJ Stroud.
They've been signing a lot of people. You never know. Good work.
Yeah.
I could see Odell wanting to play in the warm weather. The NFC South, you're in domes or warm weather, all season. So that helps.
Except Carolina, they don't have one. I think Carolina's only open one.
No, the Bucks and the Panthers are both open, but they're warm weather.
Yeah.
So you're in nice weather all year, for the majority of the season.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the NBA. And we're going to start with Jordan's team because we know when we talk NBA, the Lakers get brought up anyway. So I figured.
Come on, you started with. That's not fair because you started with Lamar Jackson.
I could feel Jordan's eye rolls. I could feel his eyes rolling as I saw it. It was so bad.
On this show, the minute I say something like playoffs or something, it goes, well, the Lakers are. So I'm like, let's get out of the way right away.
Let's just start with it.
Let's start talking about the Jazz first.
Where
Man.
where will the Lakers finish? At the end of the season, what are we looking at with the Lakers? Are
I
they
think
playing? Are they missing the playoffs? What do you guys think?
I say they're not missing the play. I think there will be a 9th, 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th seed when it comes to
So you have them as a playing team.
playing
Okay.
team.
Jake, what do you think?
But if the standings pan out, then maybe is it going to be a 6th seed if teams start losing?
That ship is slowly pulling away from you.
Yeah.
So I say anywhere between 7th and 10th.
Okay. Jake, what do you think?
2 games out of the 6th seed. So it's not that 2 games out. That's what Brett said. So it's not sinking, but
Jake, are you muted?
Gosh dang it! I pulled an old man.
Oh,
there.
okay.
Thanks for the call.
I thought my phone was messing up on me.
No, that's all me. That's all me. So the Lakers, they've been 2 games back of the 6th seed since the trade deadline. They've improved a lot. I'll give you that, Jordan. They've improved a ton since they made the trade. They've been a much better team, a much better defense. So I don't want to come off as a Laker hater because I like LeBron James. I want to see him succeed, but I see them making the play-in tournament and probably making the 8th seed. They probably would lose. If I'm looking now, that the 7 through 10 is Dallas, Minnesota, OKC, and Utah's 10th, and then Lakers are 11th. And there's a whole lot of wiggle room there. I see the Lakers probably losing the first one, winning the second, and they play Denver. They probably play pretty tough, probably go 6 games, and then they would lose in the first round. But they're going to make the play-in tournament, and I say they do win or make it into the postseason.
All right. Well, let me answer John real quick. Where's Freddie? Well, Freddie was on last night on Cheap Seats, which if you missed that one, you should go back and watch that because that show got out of control with Freddie. Freddie looks like he won't be on this week, but you never know with Freddie. He could pop up anytime. So I'll just say I don't know where he is right now.
He was.
Yes, he was. Absolutely. Lennon, where do you think the Lakers are at the end of the season?
You know, I'm going to sound like a Laker hater when I say this, but I honestly swear to God I'm not. I don't feel confident in them late in the season. So I think they'll barely miss it with the 11th seed, but it just depends on how long it's going to be till LeBron comes back.
That's a valid question because it seems like the Lakers are saying 1 to 2 weeks before he comes back. We only have 3 weeks left in the season. So depending on where the Lakers are at that point, they might be too far back for him to make that much of a difference. If they kind of hang in the play-in tournament and LeBron comes back, then you have to feel confident in the Lakers. Yeah. Don't worry, Leonard. They're not going to label you a hater or anything. That's already me and Gene. We've got that on lock.
Okay.
So
one thing to note. Go ahead, Cal.
Go ahead.
All right. So I'll just say real quick: the Lakers. They have 10 games left, and They play the Suns. They play the Thunder. That's an important game. They play Minnesota. That's an important game. They actually play the Suns twice. They play the Jazz twice. They play the Clippers. They only have what I would consider 3 easy games. They have 2 games against the Bulls and then a game against the Rockets. That's everything else. These teams are tough. They're competing for either make the play-in tournament or their seeding. There's not a gimme that's in there. So yeah, they're 2 games out, but they have a tough schedule ahead of them.
That's crazy that I said we're 2 games from the 6th spot. That's I think it's 3 games it's 2 because Warriors at 37. It seems like that, the 5 through 10. It's like anything can happen.
Yeah, it's all very close together. So that's why you have to look at the schedule that's remaining and look and see. Okay, yeah, they're 2 games back, but what are the chances they're going to go? Because if they wanted to make up 2 games in 10 games, they probably have to go 7-3 bare minimum to make that kind of a jump. And I just don't see this team either without LeBron or LeBron ramping up to get into playoff form, making making a difference enough to
Yeah.
win 7 of the next 10.
The Clippers, they can fall. I mean, they play the Thunder twice. They play the Pelicans. I mean, they're probably gonna beat the Pelicans. Play the Bulls. They play the Grizzlies twice.
Why you
Grizzlies are
single
tough.
out the
Joe's
Why you
back.
single out the Clippers?
Clippers
Clippers
are
are what,
playing
fifth
good.
right now?
I mean, they're 38 or I think 38.
If I'm the Lakers, I'm not looking that high up. I'm looking at teams like
we're 2 games out
Minnesota,
from the six.
Utah.
That's what
Those
Brett
are the
said.
teams. Yeah, but
Yeah.
those teams also have to lose as well enough
That's what
for
I'm
you
saying.
to
I'm
jump
saying that they can still lose those games.
Sure, they can, but Lakers have to make. My point with them going
Well,
like
no,
7
I'm
and
saying
3
we
is
have
they
to
have.
win ours.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
to. It's 2 games sounds easy. It sounds like a small number, but 2 games is a lot in 10
Mhm.
games. 10 games left, 2 games. That's a lot to make up.
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely win maybe half of them, still get in.
Yeah, to the play-in.
Yeah,
yeah.
to the point. Yeah.
We're talking. Yeah, playing. Yeah, but we're talking for them to go to the 6th seed. Bare minimum, you have to win 7 of the next 10, and that's with that schedule. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, that's probably 2 wins against the Bulls. But they're playing
Brett
tough.
put it, the Bulls have been playing a little better recently.
Yep.
So it's not a gimme.
Yeah.
Now they should win those 2 games, but I wouldn't bet on them winning both of them.
Yeah,
I remember you
they're-
asked me this. I said they probably split the Bulls
Yep,
game.
they probably split those games. Yep, I agree. My guess is they go like best case they go 6 and 4. Best case in the next 10 is they go 6 and 4. Clippers look really good. I don't remember who they were playing. The Warriors. They played the Warriors last week. It was like a Wednesday night game or something like that, and Curry went off for 50 points, and the Clippers pulled ahead and just beat them. Like Clippers they're figuring some things out. They're figuring their roster out. I don't think the Clippers are going to fall. Any team that's going to fall, Minnesota, OKC, Utah, and those are the 8, 9, and 10 seeds. I think 1 through 7 is set. It's now between 8 through 11 as far as who gets.
You think the Mavs will fall? The Mavs or not?
I mean, I don't playing right now.
They're
they
in the
play?
play.
Yeah.
They're the 7th seed, and I don't love the Mavericks.
so they're
They're 500. They don't play defense. They play great offense, but anybody can score.
Mhm.
Those are the teams the Lakers are fighting for. It's Dallas, Minnesota, OKC, and Utah. The top 7. I'm sorry, not even Dallas. I think Dallas will be fine. You're looking at those other teams.
All right. So the next one I had was about MVP, and John put a question in, so we'll kind of use this as our barometer here. So he goes, NBA MVP. Has Joker lost the number 1 spot? Embiid 1, Giannis 2. It's getting close. I think we need another 10 games. So looking at this right now, how would you rank the MVP, candidates right now? Who was your top 3, and how do you have them ranked right now? We can start with Lennon on this one.
I'm gonna, that's tough for me because, like, obviously I'm gonna have Embiid at. God, actually, could you come back to me? This is actually kind of tough.
I mean, no free pass.
Okay.
No free pass.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You good. I mean,
It's
Jake,
a tough question. Yeah, I'll go first. So part of me, I think about this a lot, like especially when I'm driving. I'm like thinking like, who's going to be my MVP? Who? If I had a vote, who would the MVP be? And part of my mind goes to like this, and it's stupid, and I hate that my mind goes to this, but it's like, is Jokic really a good enough player to be MVP 3 years in a row? Is he that elite? And it's like, well, no, because it's only happened, I think, twice. I think Bird did it. I know Bird did it. I think the only other person that did it was Bill Russell.
Mhm.
Like Jordan didn't do it, LeBron didn't do it, Kobe didn't do it. And I don't want to go back and have a situation where we look back 10 years from now and go, Jokic won 3, but how many did he actually deserve? We've done that like with Steve Nash's MVPs. As much as I love Karl Malone, you could do that with Karl Malone's MVPs, particularly in 97. I'd probably lean towards Embiid if that's probably the right person. But then when I look at it, I just go, what player scares me the most? And it's Giannis. I know he hasn't had like a statistical dominant of a year, but they have the best team. They have the best record. He's the best player. And I think he strikes the most fear compared to everyone else in the league. So it's like Embiid and Giannis are like trading back and forth in my mind, and Jokic is third. I probably lean a little bit towards Embiid because he's been putting up fantastic numbers and he's been like the brunt of this really, really good Philly team. But at the same time, like Giannis is my boy. Like Kyle, like what player scares you more as a Celtics fan than any other player in the league? It's Giannis.
It's only Giannis, yes.
So it's very seesaw there. I probably put Embiid up by like 0.5%, and then Giannis and then Jokic.
Okay. Jordan, you want to tackle this one?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the Sixers record or not record. I mean, their schedule, and they do play the Nuggets on the 27th, so that might decide who. But right now, I have a Jokic by slim margin, but that might change my decision once I see them play for the last time. I'm just saying because Jokic is the more elite big man where he can pass it, he can do everything that you think a point guard can do, that a center can do. Joel, he can only he can't pass it, but he doesn't have that IQ where that Jokic has. Jokic can post up, think like it's going to the rim, find an open man in the corner, like a point guard, no look pass, and Jokic he can do that, but it's like, but yeah, this game might determine like who gets MVP and who. I'm not sure who won that first meeting. I believe
Embiid won that first matchup.
Yeah, Embiid did.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, that game might determine who takes the advantage, but
okay.
I have Joker, Embiid, and then Giannis at 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Go ahead, Len.
Yeah. Thinking back, I kind of go back to your question, Jake. Who do I fear the most? And I would have to agree and say Giannis. I feel like Giannis not only has the least supporting cast out of them, not saying like, talent wise, I'm just saying like, you look at Embiid, he's got James Harden. You look at, I would say Jokic makes the case, but I'm going to put it at Giannis at 1, Jokic at 2, and Embiid at 3.
Okay.
Interesting point. What about you, Kyle? I'm curious what your takes are.
So for me, I've been saying for a while now, I think when Embiid first came into the league, I think he turned off a lot of people with his arrogance and all that kind of stuff. I think this year he is seen as sympathetic around the league. They see him go out there dropping 40, 50 points a game, still losing because Harden wants to give you 5. Tobias Harris disappears in the second half. PJ Tucker doesn't shoot. Maxey can't seem to find his way in the rotation. The amount of attention that Doc Rivers has gotten for the job that he's not doing there. Yet Philly is now tied for second, or still a top 3 seed in the East. I feel like the way the past few years have gone, because if you look at it, Giannis won his back-to-back. A lot of Philly fans thought Embiid should have won one of those years. Then you turn around, Jokic has just won back-to-back. So I feel like there's a lot of people who just feel like Embiid needs to get one. He's still playing elite this year. I just think this is the year Embiid finally gets one. So I would go Embiid 1. I'd go Jokic 2, and then Giannis 3. Because Jokic is still really good. And
he's
the
fantastic.
Crazy thing is Embiid's probably the more dominant player because of his sheer size and ability to get to the rim. But Jokic on the court is just magical to watch because he can dominate a game, yet he'll only score like 15, but he'll have like 15 assists, 13 rebounds. He had the balls in his hands all the time, and he's just conducting out there. With Embiid, you know what you're getting. He puts his hand up, you give it to him. He's going to run you over. It's whether they call an offensive foul or not, or he's going to hit his little mid-range fadeaway type stuff. So he's more like your throwback bully ball big man. But Jokic is your new age, do it all, not really elite necessarily statistically anywhere, but he's just really good across the board.
No, the advanced stats for Jokic are definitely where it's at. And
Yeah.
you know what you said, you make a good point about Joel Embiid. You know what you're going to get with him, and yet he's leading the league in scoring at 33 points a game. Like,
Mhm.
you know, it's kind of like how Shaq was. You know what Shaq's game was, but
Yeah.
you couldn't stop it. That's kind of how Joel is. I also think Joel Embiid is a better defender
Yes.
than what Jokic would be. Giannis, obviously, I think is a better defender than Jokic as well. And you make a good point about the sympathy. I feel like we could go back to when James Harden won his MVP. A lot of people have been thinking, oh, James Harden needs an MVP, should have got it. And then when he did get it, he deserved it. But there was also a little bit of like, okay, we'll give him a little sympathy vote here and there. So that definitely could play a factor for Embiid winning it this year.
All right, so Brett says this MVP race seeding is almost irrelevant because the Sixers and Nuggets have the same amount of wins. One just happens to be in the East. Only Giannis can really use it to his advantage, having over 50 wins.
Yeah.
And John goes, Harden and Westbrook, did they deserve it?
I'm going to say Westbrook probably didn't. It was the MVP is historically a very narrative-driven award. Like, I'll go back to my boy Karl, well, not my boy, but for my team, Karl Malone, when he won it.
Mhm.
There was a story I think Jackie McMullen wrote about how great Karl Malone was and how the Utah Jazz wouldn't have had this long run of success if it wasn't for Karl Malone. And then the voters were like, yeah, that's a good point. And he won the MVP in 97, and Jordan deserved it. I think with Westbrook, it was triple-double. Kevin Durant became the villain and left him, and everyone was rooting for small-town OKC and Russell Westbrook. And they were like a 7 seed. They weren't a great team. There was a lot of stat padding going on, and I don't think he necessarily deserved it. Harden, he probably did because his usage rate was high, sure. And was he fun to watch? No, but he was still a very dominant player. But I think Westbrook was definitely more narrative driven and probably should have gone to like or Curry or even Durant at that point.
Honestly, I'd say the same about Nash whenever I want to say.
Exactly. I didn't want to take a dump on Nash because I like him.
Oh, come on. No, I'm just saying Kobe deserved that one. He had the better stats, and I feel like they just gave it to Nash just because they were just currently the hot team at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, overall.
Yeah. And so that's why I say, like, where we look at, you know, with Jokic, if he wins 3 in a row, we're going to look back just like we did with Nash's back-to-back. Did he deserve both of them? No. Did he deserve one of them? You can make the argument, sure. But Kobe deserved one of those, absolutely. And we're going to look back, how did Embiid not win one of these 3 MVPs? And I don't want to make the mistake when we look back legacy-wise and kind of put a shadow on how great Embiid is. And also, I did look it up. 3 players have won back-to-back MVPs. It was Bird, it was Wilt, and it was Bill Russell. So 3 elite players. But really, you look for Russell, like no shade to Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell, but there was like 10 teams when they were playing. Like the league was very, very small, and it was completely different. So you're talking since 1986, no one's won 3 in a row. Is Jokic going to be that guy that kind of transcends that? Is he good enough to do that? I'm not sure if he is or not.
So like I do like Brett's question. I don't know if you put that up in the chat or
this one. Yeah.
Thing where that's kind of like so I'm gonna read it. So can you really use seeding as a reason for Jokic when they both had the same? So he's kind of saying what like Dame has said. So it's like from Dame's arguments, like as the MVP race and rings. I mean, does that really matter? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to just pure talent. Well, maybe Dame's having more ring chasing than MVP.
Yeah, Dame's
but,
point was a little
but you can
different.
still kind of tie it to like, you know, the MVP, you know, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's all about how you get to the NBA, how successful you are, how long you can stay in the NBA for. Because most teams, like, you know, we've seen like the Baron Davis of the world, like people get tragic injuries and, you know, they're not the same. So it's like about longevity. So say I guess it's too late too late to say, but say if Joker goes down with an injury, I'm pretty sure he's still MVP unless Embiid overtakes him because of that reason. But I mean, if it's early in the season, if Jokic gets if he's playing at MVP level, right, and Jokic goes down with an injury, like does the MVP race matter? Like
if he
in the
misses
middle of the
10
season?
games though, that's a big chunk.
That's
That's an
all-
eighth
yeah.
of the year. That's a decent amount.
So
And with how
even if
tight
he
this
misses
is,
10 games, wow, I didn't know that. So just 10 games, it's
yeah, it's a
kinda
good chunk.
crucial.
And with how tight this race
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
it would make if this was a MVP race where no one else was really in the competition, then sure they'd look at it, but they're going to look at it for. I mean, we're going to look at probably like the second to last game. Who's playing the hottest is probably going to win the MVP.
I mean, that can be for both players. If someone goes down with an injury, that can be for both.
Oh, for sure,
top two
for
players
sure.
in the race. So it's like,
Yeah.
like Brett said, is seating like well, no, I'm sorry, word of our comic. I mean, seating does it really matter when the record is the same? So
No, I don't think seeding matters. I think most people what they look at is historically a top 3 seed. A player that wins MVP has historically been a top 3 seed or better. Like Russell Westbrook was a 7th seed, and I think Jokic, one of the years that he won it, they weren't a top 3 seed. So with both of them being elite teams, they're going to be top 3 seeds. I don't think that part matters as much for the voters because they're on true contending teams. I think that's what matters. Is are you a true contender? And both of those teams are.
Right. All right. So the question I have, looking at the East right now, and 10 games left. Let's assume the Bucks are the number 1 seed going to the playoffs. Would you go with the Bucks to win the East, or would you take the field?
I'm going to go with Milwaukee. I think that Middleton's getting better. He's getting healthier. Giannis scares me. I feel like the only reason is I don't trust Cleveland yet to make the finals. I think they're a year away. I need to see it from Philly, as I just said that it'd be the MVP. Like I need to see Philly compete and win and win a tough 7-game series against Milwaukee, against Boston. They haven't done that. I don't trust Doc Rivers in a tightly contested playoff series where head coaching adjustments matter. I don't trust him to do that. And Boston, it seems like they're not playing their best ball right now when it matters most. Are they still a great team? Yes. Do I think they're the second best team in the East? Absolutely. But I think if I'm going to Vegas and I'm putting a bet down, it's going to be on Milwaukee.
Okay. Jordan, what you think?
So it's the Bucks, and then I guess the Celtics after them, right? The field.
Yeah, the field means you think somebody other than the Bucks.
Any of the other teams.
I'm so confident in the Bucks, but I mean, when it comes to playoffs, anything can happen. I mean, Giannis. I mean, I'm not saying Giannis is gonna go on a slump, but it can happen. Anything can happen. But I mean, my intuition is going with the Bucks, but I'm saying it's not guaranteed in the playoffs. Like that year when KD had his toe next to the line. Was that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the year the Bucks won it all. That was their championship year.
Oh, so that was the year that.
Yep.
Well, then that's won that game though, right? In the series.
No, they didn't.
No, Milwaukee won that game, and that's how they won the
KD
series.
stepped on the line, right?
Yep.
Or it was a 2-pointer. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Celtics can had a run for the Bucks money, but my confidence is going with the Bucks. But I'm very close with going with the floor with the field too, because maybe the 76ers can get a chance. But I mean, if someone can stop Giannis, Giannis, then I mean, they are the top. They're the kings on the hills right now.
I'll just say this real quick before we get to Lennon. Jordan, you said anything can happen in the playoffs, and you're absolutely right. But I would bet money that Giannis goes on a superhuman tear like he did when they won the championship, as opposed to him taking a dip. Can he take a dip?
No,
absolutely.
No.
But
I'm not saying gonna take a dip. I'm saying anything can happen.
He could.
He
absolutely. You're 100% right. He could get He could get hurt, but he also got hurt the year they won the championship.
Like
and then he
Middleton
came
can-
out and was just like, screw you guys, I'm winning this championship, and just went superhuman and like an all-time status. So for him to say he's going to have a dip, it's hard just because he's so
Yeah.
dominant.
I mean, I feel like the X factor, like besides Giannis, is probably Chris Middleton, but he's kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
He's been hurt, injury prone. So if Giannis has a bad game, who's gonna step up?
For sure. Oh, absolutely.
London, what you got? Bucks in the field.
Honestly, I'm going to take the field. I mean, yes, the Bucks are a very dominant team, and just like Jake said, Giannis can go on a super athletic tear. Go for 50 in the next couple of games. But honestly, I feel like the Celtics are still wanting to kind of redeem themselves after last year's loss against the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to try to get things back into just kind of get things back into a good rhythm. And then once the playoffs hit, I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be one of the best duos in the league.
Okay. So for me, I would take the field, kind of to go with Brett's point here, where if you look at it, the Bucks are a dominant team in the East. I think the Celtics are the best built to beat them. Problem would be if Philly Celtics meet in the second round. We know Embiid with his play down low can beat up a team. Philly, I need to see them do it in the playoffs though, because supposedly, people in Philly are saying they want the Celtics in the playoffs, which
that's dumb.
I think that's wild that they would think that, but I think the Celtics figure it out. Yes, this recent run has been rough, but I do think it's more so to them making the finals last year. Maybe they just lost a little bit of focus right now. It's not the best time to do it, but I think once we get probably a couple of games out from the playoffs, you'll see them turn it up and then continue that, into the postseason tournament. So I would still pick the Celtics, but the Bucks are definitely going to be a tough out. And John brought up
thoughts? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
I was just saying that John brought up the Cavs or the Knicks. I think the Cavs are a year away.
Absolutely.
I do like the direction they're going in, but I would say they're a year away. The Knicks, I'm not ready to put them there yet.
I'm not. I'm going to say that too. Yeah, they're not.
I
the
still
Bucks
have
will
to
prove the Knicks.
Prove it.
Yeah, the Knicks have to show me. Yeah, if the Knicks show me something this year, I would think about them next year. But for me, I'm like 2 years down the road with the Knicks.
John saying the Knicks is like saying the Toronto are going to sweep the Milwaukee. That's not going to happen.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Toronto's trash, but
yeah,
the Knicks are playing. The Knicks are playing much better though. My only thing is, I still have questions with Randall. I still have questions with RJ Barrett.
What are they going to do in the playoffs when the game changes, when the game slows down? That's what the concern is for the Knicks.
My worry is they go back to stand around, watch Randall jack up a three. Yep. If that's what it turns into, they'll probably be 1 and out.
And have his son looking in the crowd like, why did you shoot that shot?
I mean, his son better tell him something.
Like in the All-Star weekend when they showed his son who's crying like, what is that?
So Brett,
no, but the Knicks
aren't good.
They have surprised this year, man. The Knicks have probably shocked a lot of.
No, they've been a great story, but to say that they're a contender to that I'm going to play money, am I there yet? No, let me see it. My only
I say the Cavs over the Knicks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'd agree that too. My question for Kyle was with Boston. What are your thoughts with your coach, Mazzulla? Like, what are your feelings for him with his in-game adjustments, his use of timeouts, things like that? What's your game sense been feeling for him?
Yeah, because trust me, I've gone back and forth with people on Twitter who are up in arms about him not using timeouts. I don't have a problem with it because Tatum and Brown have come out and said they actually like that about him, that when things are going bad, he trusts them to figure it out. Yeah, a coach can call a timeout, bring you in, draw up something. You could go out there and still screw up. What was the timeout for? But in forcing the players to figure it out on the fly, I think that will pay dividends in the playoffs. Because there are times in the playoffs you'll be playing well, you'll miss one shot, a guy hits an open three, you turn around and blink, they're on like a 10-0 run. And because of what they've gone through in the regular season, I think Mizzou is hoping when that comes up in the playoffs, they'll know what to do instead of panicking and forcing up shots and stuff. So I don't have a problem with that. I think as a whole, I feel like he's done wildly successful for the position he was put in. The way he got the job with the whole Ime scandal and all that, this Celtics team could have tanked after that because Ime was so loved in that locker room. Now, I do think the fact that Brad Stevens and the guys in the front office picked a guy who was on the staff definitely helped. I thought it was going to be Damon Stoudemire, to be honest with you. And shout out to him for getting the Georgia Tech job. That program's been a mess, and I know Damon Stoudemire is going to do well down there.
I love Damon.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Damon Stoudemire because of the background he had in the league, and I've seen him on the bench. He's really good with the players. But Mazzulla kind of fits the mentality of Boston, though. They've shown the little clips of him playing like street ball on the court, like during practice. He's like body checking people, and he's a nut job. So I think the fans will slowly get behind him. I know some of them are infuriated by him, but I think he's done a good job, so I don't doubt him.
That's a good point. I think, and you make a great point that Boston their season could have gone off the rails. I think Mazzulla was probably the right hire. I mean, it's a shame that Will Hardy wasn't available to be your next head coach. I mean,
right. Timing was
As a Utah Jazz fan, I'm very glad that we got him when we did because he's fantastic. But that's a great point you make about using the regular season to learn how to play through the adversity parts and not waste timeouts unnecessary. That's a great point.
Yeah. So I mean,
John, I was gonna ask who's the call. I'm something UNC, right? For talking about my sweatshirt.
I mean, if he's calling it an ugly blue hoodie, he has to be a Tar Heel guy.
Yeah,
I would think.
Guy. Oh man, your team didn't make the playoff. Your team didn't make the match madness for me. Yeah.
I mean, look, you can't go at him like that because Duke's already out. Duke was still
no, but I'm saying we still had opportunity.
You just played a couple extra games. That's it.
All right, but we still made, and they denied the NIT invitation, so it's like, all right.
Hey, they'll just tell themselves we would have won it. Man. Let somebody else do it. I mean, I'll probably say this for another episode, but I would love to hear what John thinks of Bacot because I wonder about what UNC kind of fans think about him. I guess as an NBA player, UNC owns Duke overall. Huh?
I mean, we have 7. I mean, we had
right away. Bacot needs to be gone.
I mean, we have Duke has 17 national championships. So I want to say
how many does UNC have? I mean, I think the number is Duke's favorite because I think UNC went a while without winning one. So
I want to say they have 12, something like that, maybe 13.
They have 6.
Yeah. John in the chat.
I was about to say. I was about to guess like 7 because it's been a while since they won one. And
hey man, I want all the smoke from everyone, man. Come on, bring it.
It's a weekly tradition on the Big Three podcast, man. Jordan he takes it. He gets mad, but then he says stuff, and he seems like it just happens.
I just googled it, John, and it said that Duke has 17 national championships.
Is that for basketball or just for all sports?
See Duke. I just said.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, I'm trying to think what other sports.
Duke, basketball.
I feel like they would just keep track of the basketball ones if it's.
Okay, so Duke has won 5 NCAA championships for the Duke basketball. Oh
man,
so he's got you.
Bummer.
My first overall school be doing good, man. Well, I don't go there, but that's my team. That's my team. Actually,
John's loving this. John's loving this.
Okay. John's superior in that one. 6-5
for now.
Hey, Duke, step your game up. Step your game up.
No one counts basket.
Basket weavers.
Well, I would say no one counts basket weaving.
Some of the other
Like
championships
the
are
other sports that Duke has won for like
Yeah.
lacrosse. Like Duke has had a really
Yeah,
good
they have a really good
lacrosse
lacrosse program.
Yeah, they
things
do.
like that. Like field hockey, things like that.
I think the women's team is pretty good too. The Duke women's team is pretty good.
Yeah, but we're talking men's basketball as the
Well, I'm saying as far as just overall school.
All right. Well, my question for the West now is the same thing. Would you take Nuggets or the field in the West?
I'm taking the field.
Yeah.
I need to see it from
Yeah,
Denver.
I'm
Like Denver, like Jokic is great. They're healthy this year. They're probably going to make the Western Conference Finals. But I just think if Kevin Durant can come back healthy, I just think that they just win. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker just scored too many points. And the thing that I worry about really with Jokic and Denver is if Chris Paul's healthy, which is a big if, what's he going to do to Jokic? He's going to put him in the pick and roll and mid-range jump shot him to death. I saw Chris Paul go up against Utah Jazz 3 playoff series in a row or 3 seasons in a row, and that's what he did to Rudy Gobert. You put him in the 1-5 pick and roll, and he's
stepdad. What's up?
and
when we're doing this, man.
he's a master of that 2-point jump shot, and that's how you can negate what he does on defense. And I just there's too much. The West is too up for grabs, and so I'm going to take the field.
Yeah,
I would say the Nuggets if they kind of like. I'm not gonna say the Nuggets, but I would say the Nuggets if they were to separate themselves more from the field. But since it's so wide open, I'm taking the field.
John's not going to let that go about Duke and UNC. So he said Duke has 17 titles. UNC has 47 national titles.
Oh man!
See on my side or
you showing that UNC is better even all around with 47 compared to 17 for Duke.
Yeah, all of NCAA, UNC has 47 national championships, and Duke has 17.
All right, but they got 6 national championships, but they can't get into the playoff tournament this year.
Hey, even the greats slip up every once in a while.
No, I'm not listening to no man. I'm not taking nothing off, man. I'm a ride or die.
So Gregory says, don't sleep on the Warriors. They get Wiggins back. It'll be interesting. I mean, the Wiggins story, we'll have to see with that because that's taking all kinds of twists and turns.
The Warriors just don't win on the road. That's my concern.
That's a little concerning.
You're not going to be you're not going to be a top 4 seed most likely. So you're going to have to win on the road all 3 series, all 4 series, and I don't see it happening for Golden State. And I think Golden State there was so much energy and passion that was drawn up to win that title because a lot of people thought the Warriors were done as a dynasty. Mm-hmm. Like, can they dig down deep enough to really get enough motivation and passion to make another run like that when they can't win on the road? I don't see it this year.
Okay. So I think we're all going with the field. I will say for the Nuggets, the key for me, I say this every time I talk about the Nuggets as well, Michael Porter Jr. He needs to be healthy because now even with, Phoenix loading up with KD and all that, Porter Jr. is a guy who can create his own shot. He can get to the rim. He can shoot the 3. When healthy, he's probably their best all-around scorer.
Greg, I don't know if that's a chore comment or about Wiggins, but
Wiggins is their second best player overall.
He hasn't been playing though, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, Gregory's assuming he comes back at some point. Although we know with the off-the-court stuff, we don't know how long that may take. But he would definitely be needed if the Warriors want to make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's the only scorer.
Yes. John, no one believes it. John, look, I've talked about the Kings a lot. I have been surprised at what they're doing this year. Mike Brown done well with that team. I'm a big Sabonis fan. I've always been a De'Aaron Fox fan, so I'm happy to see them actually playing well this year. I just can't see them going from where they were to making that leap to winning the West this year.
There's usually a year in between a team making that leap. And my concern with Sacramento, it's a great story. I'm super happy that Sacramento is going to have a good run. The Light the Beam thing is awesome. I love it. They have great fans. I just worry about their defense. Historically speaking, you have to have a really good defense to win the title, and they're just not a great they're a great offense, but not a great defense. And I think they're a year away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Kings are a team that I feel like a lot of people will probably pick them in terms of an upset because of their inexperience and their youth. Like if you go up against, let's say they went up against the Warriors in the first round, most people would probably pick the Warriors because they're battle tested.
Yeah.
I mean, even Jordan's Lakers, if they were to get out of the play and face a Kings team, you'd be looking at a LeBron AD with their experience versus De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, who haven't been in that limelight. And that's a lot to ask of them to do in year one, to beat a team like that in the first round. But they could be a team that if they get past the first round, they may take off because they might be so anxious in the first round to prove something that if they do make it through, makes them a better team and they go on like a Cinderella type run in the West.
Yeah, the reason. Yeah, go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
I'll just say real quick here, but right now, if the playoffs started today, Sacramento would be playing Golden State in the first round in a 3-6 matchup. Like you said, a lot of people probably pick an upset alert.
Yeah.
And like the reason why I'm taking the field over Denver is because Denver outside, like I said before, like outside of Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr., it's like their bench it's kind of shaky. It's kind of like not mysterious, but it's like
you don't like the Greens, Jermichael and Jeff Green?
Jeff Green, but it's like
Jeff Green still is performing.
I mean,
I'm surprised by him too, but he still contributes.
Jermichael Green, is he on the Warriors?
Mm-mm. No, Jermichael's on Denver, I thought.
No, he got traded.
Did he?
Yeah, he's on the Warriors.
I can't keep up with all these Greens.
On the Warriors.
He played for the Nuggets, but then he got traded to the Warriors.
Oh, I mean, I was about to say Gregory would know because he's a Warriors fan, so he's on the Warriors. Okay, well then, scratch what I said about Jermichael Green.
He's on the
They
Warriors.
got Jeff Green. I know that.
Come on, man.
My fault, Gregory. Look. There's too many Greens in the West. I got them confused. All right.
Whoa, Jalen Green, yeah.
Well, I mean, I know Jalen Green's in Houston, but yeah, Jalen Green, Draymond Green, Jermichael, Jeff. Too much, and there's probably more than I missed. But
Draymond. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. So he's on the Warriors. All right. But I mean, Denver still has. I think there's like a big name on that team I'm missing.
All you need is 8 to 9 guys for a playoff series, for a playoff run. Like you don't need to go 12 deep. Like you're gonna play 10 guys, but you really need to have 8 to 9 guys that you trust in the playoffs. And I think Denver's roster has that.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to pull up their roster real quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Aaron Gordon. That's what I was trying to think of. Aaron Gordon.
Where's
Brown?
Yeah, nowadays.
Who's that, Lennon?
Reggie Jackson.
Where's
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say, where's Jamal Murray at? Is he still with Denver? Or is
he's a point guard,
and he's healthy now, and he's playing pretty well.
Yeah. I'm just saying, outside of those three, I don't trust their depth, but I don't know.
Aaron Gordon as a fourth option.
That's pretty good.
Is better than most teams.
That's good.
And then Bruce Brown, Reggie Jackson as bench type role players. You could do worse. KCP.
No, they have a bench I trust. They have 9 guys that I'd feel comfortable playing with in a heated playoff series, and that's what you want. That's how you want to build your roster. Is you want to find 8 to 9 guys that you feel comfortable if they got 15 minutes in a playoff series, and I think Denver has that.
Yeah.
Hey, my phone's about to die. Let me hop off here for a second and let it charge, but I'll be back on.
All right, you good?
Sounds good. We'll see you in a minute, Lynn.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you good. All right, so let's go March Madness. Pull up the bracket. Just going to talk quickly about the Sweet 16. We're not going to go over everything because,
Way
it's
too
many
much.
games right now.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
in the South, your Sweet 16 representatives are Alabama, San Diego State, Creighton, Princeton, which is probably one of the surprises of the tournament. The East, you got
Who do they
Florida
play?
Atlantic and Tennessee, Kansas State, Michigan State. I mean, Tom Izzo, whenever you want to count him out, he goes on one of these runs, and it looks like
But
he's
whenever
doing
you
that.
count him in to win it all, he loses in the
Right.
first or second round.
They are the most frustrating team to predict in March.
I hate it.
In the West, you got Arkansas, UConn, Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas, upset there. Purdue in the East, I didn't mention that. Then the Midwest, you have Houston, Miami, Xavier, and Texas. So looking at the Sweet 16, I'm going to assume we would say Princeton's probably the biggest surprise there. Or
Easy.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say FDU, but they lost to FAU, so
yeah, although the coach
it's on the Iona.
leveled up to Iona with Rick Pitino now going
What
to
division
St.
is that?
John's.
Is that first or second? Iona.
No, Iona's Division One.
It's Division One.
I think they're in the MEAC conference. I want to say. I'd have to double check that. You think Princeton keeps the upsets going? It would be an interesting story if they could.
I think Tennessee's a surprise too. I didn't know they're going to be good this far.
I had
be
them in
honest,
my bracket beating Duke in the second round. Just saying.
Okay, all right, 1 out of a billion.
I mean,
My bracket's
necessarily.
busted.
I mean,
But
because
I had Duke losing there as well. I had Duke winning that game, but losing this round Sweet 16 to Memphis. So
Yeah.
Memphis, I was dead wrong
Memphis did-
about.
Yeah,
But
that didn't work out.
thanks a lot, Penny Hardaway, screwing up my bracket.
I mean, if you want to go back to brackets, I mean, Furman, man, they messed up my bracket on first day.
Yeah, trust me, I did not believe in Virginia, so that saved me some time.
Wait, so you actually picked Furman in that game?
I picked Virginia to lose the second round. I didn't have them
Losing
going
the
far
second
anyway.
round. Yep.
So Furman just saved me an extra game of watching them play.
Yeah.
I mean, Princeton has Creighton. Now, I'm actually one of those who has Creighton going kind of far, so I would pick Creighton over Princeton.
They're a good team. Team.
But Princeton, what they've done so far, you got to give them credit. I mean, beating Arizona is one thing, but a lot of times you'll see teams with that upset fall flat in the second game. They came right back, beat a Missouri team that had a good showing against Utah State. And now with Creighton, anything could happen, but I do think Creighton is the better team. But we don't know. Princeton, could be an Elite Eight team, which would sound ridiculous if you were to think that Princeton being an Elite Eight team, but their bracket has really fallen in their favor.
I want to ask John if he's still in the chat. Like, since you're a UNC fan, where did you have Duke in your bracket? Like, do you have them losing second round, or do you have them going that far? Like,
I had Oral Roberts picking them opening round.
Well, I'm very curious to see what he has since his team didn't. No, I'm not. I'm being serious. Like, what?
I know.
UNC fan. Like, what is? I'm curious to see what UNC fans had Duke. And how far they had them.
I feel like the hatred is so deep in grind that I had Duke losing to Purdue. Okay, so he had them winning.
I think I had Purdue. I think I had Duke being Purdue, but not by that much. But yeah, I mean, Purdue they're gonna get knocked off before Duke. So I mean, which they did to FDU.
So saying he wanted to see Filipowski and Edey go up against each other.
Yeah, that would have been a good matchup. But Edey, I think Filipowski
disappeared in that game against.
Well, no, but I think as far as head-to-head, I think Filipowski is a better offensive player, and Edey's a more defensive player. He's just a giant. Like you said on I think my podcast or like the Monday show or whatever show we had, you said that Edey like he couldn't find his shot, and against the I think was it FDU like he couldn't buy a bucket, so it's like If they couldn't buy a book against FDU, how
it
come?
wasn't a good showing for him because FDU didn't have the hype for him, and it seemed like Purdue somehow couldn't get the ball to him.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even watch the Duke game because I was out. I was keeping track of the score. So I mean, I don't have a better analysis of the game how I watched it, but I was out. I wanted to get back home in time for the game, but I know I was keeping track of score on the ESPN bracket.
Jordan, you call yourself a true Duke fan. You can't even watch the game. Take that sweatshirt off, man. Just messing.
I could wrap the game up for you in like 30 seconds. Basically, Filipowski, Roach, Lively did nothing in the second half. Absolutely nothing. I couldn't tell you the last basket any one of those guys hit. Roach was actually lucky to finish that game because early in the second half, there was a foul call that he should have gotten, which would have been his fifth. And they called it on who was that dude? They called it on the guy who was like their only offense. I can't remember his name right now, but those three disappeared, and that's what sunk Duke in the second half.
Yeah,
and Tennessee played too physical for them defensively that they just couldn't handle that.
But I would say for both like UNC and Duke, both them being like even close in miles of schools and stuff, I do give credit for both teams with not having Roy Williams or Coach K for the first year. So, or I think it would be second year for UNC because who was the coach of the new coach for UNC? It's Mark
Hubert Davis.
Hubert Davis. Yeah, I mean, Duke did they did their best without Coach K this year. I mean, Coach K they got those 5 championships with Coach K at the helm. And I'm interested to see what Shire does in the next couple, and then plus with the draft portal and everything. I'm trying to see what we get as far as elite talent. So Duke is definitely not far off from being a team that advances. They can definitely do it. It's like Derek Whitehead. He was hurt half the year. He came back half the season. That was our top prospect on the team. He got hurt. But like you said, like the young guys, like I'm not sure Roach. I think he's a senior or junior, but Derek is a freshman. I think Roach has been there since Zion. Well, Zion, he was still there when Zion was on the team. Roach. So I think he has to be a senior. Roach. But like you said, like the main guys like Proctor. Yeah. So Roach is a senior on the team. So so I mean they're young. Both teams are young. UNC. So I'll give kind of credit to both teams that they both fairly did a good job.
I'd say UNC was a
surprisingly.
UNC had a disappointing year. They were preseason #1, missed the tournament.
Oh, yeah, they were. I mean, Rutgers should have got in, definitely. I think that.
Yeah, we agreed on that last week. So why are we talking about teams that have been eliminated so much? Why are we talking about teams that are still in the tournament?
Well, I see your point, Jordan. For those two programs to follow up after Coach K, Roy Williams, there's going to be an adjustment period, and Hubert Davis, John Shire, you give them a lot of credit for. Well, Shire more credit because they got into the tournament, but Hubert Davis, I'm sure he'll learn from this year and be better for it next year.
I agree.
So John can have something to cheer for next March. That wasn't meant to be a dig necessarily,
or was it? But how do you even claim it the college team in basketball? Like, do you?
I'm a Boston area kid, so I grew up watching Marcus Camby at UMass, Troy Bell, BC. I follow those teams. I'm glad. Was it the dude at BC got the extension today? Because I feel like he turned that team around the second half, and I'm excited to see what they do next year. UMass still has some work to do, but I mean, outside of those two, I usually watch a lot of Kansas, Michigan, Duke, UNC, kind of like the powerhouses I watch. I do root for the Boston teams. But John put up here. John put, would you be surprised if I had Utah State and San Diego State matched up in the Elite Eight? Bama looks good, but some games they show some signs. I mean, I wouldn't be too mad at that you put that on there. Because, I mean, I had Creighton in the Elite Eight only because that kind of half of the bracket was wide open. I just thought Creighton would be the one to get through. San Diego State, I will say, is one of the teams I do watch. For some reason, I really like San Diego State when it comes to March. So, yeah, I'm not too surprised by that, John.
I just have a hard time trusting the Mountain West Conference in March. Where I grew up before, I was in Mountain West Conference country, and more often than not, it's a disappointment rather than a surprise for how they perform in March Madness.
All right. So I got two quick questions before we go to the basketball reference game to wrap up the show. Which upset so far has been the most shocking to you?
I mean, Purdue losing has to be it. I know we had a number one seed lose just a couple of years ago in Virginia, but that still has to be number one for me. Arizona losing to Princeton is big. Kansas losing second round, that's big. But for me, and Virginia losing in the first round too, that's a surprise. But for me, it has to be Purdue. You lose to a team that they had no business losing to. That never should have happened, and it did. And that's now two number one seeds that have fallen. That has to be the biggest upset.
Okay. You agree with that, Jordan, or was there another one that surprised you more?
I mean, definitely the Furman one. That was the first day. I mean, like I said, Kyle, Virginia, they had some games where they score a lot. There's some games where they score a lot, but then they get comfortable with the league, and then they let the team come back. So, actually, I'm gonna give it, since I live in Jersey. I mean, I'm gonna give the two teams props, FDU, and I'm right at the Parkway from them, and then Princeton. I mean, last year St. Peter's beat them, Purdue. So like I said, Jake said, two number one years. Two number one overall years. They've been number one, and they got knocked off by low seed teams. Which, I'm not sure which team they lost to St. Peter's after that. I think it was. I have to go back.
I can't remember that one off the top of my head.
But yeah, definitely the two Jersey teams, Princeton and FDU, and it's crazy because the coach in the locker room was like, "Oh, we're gonna knock off Princeton." He told his boys that, and like, right, they did it. So it's not like they were timid. It's not like they were scared of Purdue. Purdue has been upset by so many teams like Rutgers throughout the years. So it's like they are vulnerable.
Yeah. So John agrees that Princeton upset over Arizona and the Purdue loss were the biggest upsets. I think that most people can agree with that. I will say the Virginia loss to Furman just because of the way it happened. Guy caught in the corner, great trap. He just throws the ball over his head, gets intercepted, and then Furman knocks down a three because it's going all over TikTok. Kevin Harlan's reaction. Like I said, Kevin Harlan calling college basketball or NBA basketball, count me in any day. That guy is great on the microphone.
I love it.
Yeah. And
the bang, I don't care if it's overused, the bang, I love it. Like he's the best. He's the best.
Yeah. Kevin Harlan is just, he's the GOAT. Gus Johnson too. I love listening to Gus Johnson.
Yeah, no, Gus is great.
Gus Johnson will turn Princeton Harvard into the biggest thing on TV with the way he calls the game.
For sure.
All right. So last question I had. Are you still confident in your pick to win it all?
In the team that we picked?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I picked Texas to win it all, and I'm feeling pretty good about them. They beat Penn State. It was 5-point win. I feel pretty good about it. They feel like they're playing pretty well. Their first round game against Colgate was pretty decisive. We'll see. Like they have their toughest game is going to be in the Sweet 16 against Xavier. I think they could beat Houston. Like I think they can do it. Like I think Xavier is going to be a tougher challenge than Houston. I just have this gut feeling, but I feel good about my team with Texas. What about you, Jordan? Who'd you pick to win it?
No, let's go Kyle first, and I'll go last.
Well, actually, I have Texas winning it all as well. I think Texas can beat Houston. the biggest thing's going to be getting past Xavier, because Xavier's one of those teams you know, if you look past them, they can't beat you. But if they get past Xavier, I think they beat Houston and make their way to the championship game. But yeah, I'm still confident in Texas.
I feel very good about my pick.
Well, I had a couple of brackets too. I had Duke winning, and I had Alabama winning one. On one of the groups I had, so I was half confident in Alabama. They got their maybe number 3 pick in this round, number 4 maybe, and Brandon Miller. So we'll see. But John has a point. I mean, Alabama has shown signs of weakness. Continue to exploit that. We'll see, man. We'll see. But yes, my original bracket I picked Duke, but I felt confident. Well, I kind of messed it up because I had Duke facing Purdue, not Tennessee. I only had Tennessee, so I didn't really look into the whole matchup, Tennessee Duke matchup. So, yeah, I had Duke for my original pick, but I had Alabama at 1 too. So, but all my brackets were busted.
Past Bruce Pearl.
Is that the Tennessee coach?
No, Bruce Pearl. Is Bruce Pearl Auburn?
He's Auburn now. He used to be Tennessee back in the
Tennessee.
day, but now he's in Auburn, I think.
So Tennessee has is it Rick Barnes at Tennessee now?
Yeah, I can't.
I don't know. I can't tell you.
I'm terrible.
I think he's the old Texas coach. I think he's coaching Tennessee now.
That sounds right.
What coach is Shaka Smart coach? Is that Texas? Shaka Smart. He did coach VCU.
Shaka Smart used to be VCU. He was at Texas. Now he is.
I think
he's somewhere else. I think.
Yeah, he's somewhere else now. And I feel like I saw him some point this week, and I can't remember which team it was.
Is he still? Is his team still in the tournament? I don't think so. I don't know.
Actually, let me look it up. Well, as I'm looking it up,
I saw his name too.
Yeah, I saw him somewhere. So John he had 3 brackets.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
He's at Marquette, exact. Yes.
Marquette.
I picked Marquette to go deep into the tournament.
Are they still in or no?
They're out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had Marquette going to the Elite 8, and they lost, and that ruined my evening.
Yeah, Marquette.
That was a killer. So John, 3 brackets. He had Kansas, Texas, UCLA. Out of those, he thought Kansas was number 1, then Texas.
Yeah, I had Kansas beginning. I had Kansas in my final. I had Duke, Kansas. I think Alabama. I can tell you my final 4 real quick. Sorry.
Kansas is another one that when you think Kansas is good, they'll go out early, and then a year when you think Kansas doesn't have enough, they'll go deep into the tournament.
Yeah, actually, I had Alabama, Duke, Houston, Kansas. Houston's still in it, so in my final 4, but.
So John were you shocked that Catholic school signed Pitino?
I'm just surprised he still has a job, just in general, with all the drama
like
that comes
70,
out of him.
And he said he wants to coach till 80. I don't know if he lasts that long because they were going through his resume, and I was surprised he lasted like 16 seasons at Louisville. That blew my mind. And I guess we'll see what he does at St. John's. I think that conference as a whole could use probably St. John's playing a little better. I know Georgetown finally moved off of Patrick Ewing, and they got Ed Cooley, who I think will be a great hire for them because he did so well at Providence. Calipari is worse than Pitino. I do agree with that. Thanks, Calipari, for having the UMass Final 4 year basically vacated. So even if I try to remember those years, it's like I'm not supposed to. He ruined Marcus Camby. That was a really good UMass team.
That was a good team. That was.
Yeah. All right.
Did Pitino coach in the NBA?
Hmm.
Yeah, he was
He
with
tried to coach the Celtics. He tried to turn the Celtics into like a college team, pressing for 48 minutes. Was a disaster, and he went back to college.
Was he? I thought he was on the Knicks. That's what I heard.
I thought he was the Nets.
I think it was the Nets. It might be the Nets.
No, you're right. No, you're right. I got to mix up. You're right. He was with Boston from 97 to 2-1. Yep. Yeah, he was with the Knicks, and he was with the Boston Celtics from 97 to 2001.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. you think Notre Dame will hire the Drake head coach? See, Notre Dame's coach is what? Mike Bray. He's moving on.
Yeah, his last year at Notre
Could
Dame.
be.
Uh,
Drake was a good team. I know they went out in the first
Drake-
round, but they're a good team.
They didn't make the tournament, I don't think. Notre Dame. I mean, the
no,
NIT,
Notre Dame had a terrible year.
Yeah.
I could see that hire happening. Yeah, because usually you want to, schools like Notre Dame and that would take the hot new coach, and Drake had a good year. They didn't beat Miami in the first round, but they had a good showing. So I think that hire makes sense.
No, it does. That'd
Yes,
be good.
Pitino and Calipari coached the NBA. Yes, because Calipari coached with the Nets.
That's who I got to
remember
mix up
that.
with. Calipari was the Nets and Patino was the Celtics. I always get them mixed up when I think about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, if have nothing else with March Madness, we could do basketball reference.
Let's do
Close
it.
out the show. So John and anybody else who might still be in the chat, I'm going to pull up a basketball reference profile for 3 players, Jake and Jordan. John, if you want to throw guesses in the chat, you can do that as well. And we'll see if you can figure it out. So we're going to start with the easy one. You guys should get this one. You might notice a theme in these players as we're going through, but
Cool. I like themes. That'll be fun.
who is
I
this
can't-
player? You can't.
Oh, it's Carmelo.
I
Carmelo
gotta
Anthony.
extend it.
Okay. That
Oh,
did not take long. Yes, it's
I
Carmelo
saw
Anthony.
0304
I
Denver.
mean, I was
I'm like,
trying
oh,
to
that's
extend it,
Carmelo.
but I didn't get a chance to guess. All right, cool.
That was a quick draw. there.
Went for the Nuggets, the Knicks, Oklahoma City, Houston, Portland, Lakers. It is Carmelo Anthony. See, easy. Want to get you started. So now we're going to go to the medium difficulty. This one you might have to think a little bit more about. Who is this player? Started in 2010-11 with the Sixers, went to the Pacers in 13-14, the Celtics in 14-15, then to the Trailblazers 16-17, finished their career with the Hawks 19-20.
Okay.
And John or whoever else is in the chat, if you're
This-
trying to guess, no Googling or anything.
Yeah,
Oh,
Brett,
Brett's in the
go
chat.
for it.
Brett
If you
probably
can
knows
beat
who
us
it
to
is.
it, go for it.
All right, Brett, who is it?
Ah,
Okay, so John, it's not Vince Carter.
Oh. Evan, Brett, you beat me to it. His name was on the tip of my tongue. Evan
It
Turner.
is Evan
Good job.
Turner, yes. See, now that I know Brett's in the chat, I'm probably screwed here because Brett, but yes, it's Evan Turner.
all right, Brett, you can't answer.
No, it's
Jordan,
fine.
you're good, man. Go for it.
Brett,
That was
you'll know
good.
the
That was a
timing.
tough one.
If they look like they need your help, you can jump in. All right, now to the difficult one.
Is this player currently in the NBA or?
You will see. You will see.
Oh my god!
He's not giving any
Who is
hints.
this player?
Oh wow!
2009-10, played with the Pacers, went to Toronto in 13-14, ended their career in Charlotte in 2015-16. Who is this player?
Okay. Power forward, Indiana. Is it Tyler Hansborough? Did he go to Toronto?
Yes, it's Tyler Hansborough.
Oh man.
Oh wow!
That's a great pull.
The age did it for me. I was looking at his rookie year and it was the age that did it. I'm like, what 24-year-old rookie is coming out in 2009, 2010? And it was that the one that got me a little bit was a Toronto, but yeah, Tyler Hansborough. The power forward, yeah, let's look at power forward and the age, and that's what was like something sticking out here. It's gonna make me guess it.
That was a good job. Yeah. Wow.
I actually thought that was gonna be a stumper, but you guys got it. So the
Short
theme I
career
kind of
helps,
just
yeah.
went with was really great college players. I mean,
Yep.
Carmelo won the title at Syracuse. Evan Turner was those
Oh,
Ohio
he was
State
great in Ohio
teams
State.
with, yeah. Although he had that really bad back injury at Ohio State, if I remember. Oh, he had a UNC player in the quiz, not a Duke. And then, well, yeah.
I mean, where's
Hansborough.
Hansborough at now? Probably in a retirement home. Sorry.
Hansborough was on the March Madness coverage.
Oh, he was like an analyst.
That's
or
right.
whatever?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, he was in the studio.
Oh, I didn't notice. So.
Oh man, trying to get John going again.
You talking crap about him being an old folks home. It's like, man, I wouldn't mind having Tyler Hansborough's life, being a NBA player, first round draft pick, and all the things he's got. Come on.
All good, John. All good, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was another edition of Basketball Reference Player Guess. You guys went 3 for 3 again. Brett
kind of takes on one of the other one. Evan Turner.
Yeah, he got the Evan Turner, but I think Jake was about to say Evan Turner.
I was close. It was on the tip of my
he
tongue.
was getting there, but yeah, Brett definitely helped out. But it's okay. I'm okay with the chat helping out. But yeah. So with that, I mean, you guys have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nope. Been a great show.
Yeah.
March Madness continues on Thursdays. Games pick back up. Great time. Great time for sports. So
yeah, Sweet
good
16
episode.
weekend.
It'll be fun.
Sweet 16 starts on Thursday, right?
Yep.
So John put
Yeah, my mom's
Go
been,
Heels.
like, my mom's been like really pissed because like she wants to watch like Judge Judy and all the shows. Like, oh, I can't watch it because on CBS and TBS. Like, why is basketball on? But I'm like,
Best
chill
time of the
out.
year for basketball.
Yeah.
For college
But she's not
basketball.
really a sports fan though. She's not really. She likes, but she has a little break. She gets to watch those shows. But Thursday, Friday, it's a wrap. Like,
Man, you should
They're
get your mom. You should get your mom into college basketball.
hey, I'll make her a Duke fan. Not a UNC fan.
I mean, you could try. Maybe you might not know. She might have a random team she might like to follow.
That North Carolina blue is pretty. I mean, that light blue. A lot of girls could flock to that. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when like women fill out March Madness brackets, a lot of times they'll go with like mascots or team colors to fill them out.
I mean, we have a
They usually end up doing well as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, March Madness is one of those things. Like the more you analyze it, the worse you do.
The worst you be. Yeah, it's just terrible.
Yeah. I feel like a random person who doesn't watch the basketball will get it right because they don't watch the game. So
No, there was like 2 years ago. I did a bracket. Like 2 years ago, I did a bracket. I wasn't following college basketball. It was the year before. It was 2019. I wasn't following college basketball very close. I filled out a bracket. My work buddy filled out one. He followed it closely. My bracket had more points, and like the group we were in, it's a crapshoot. That's all it is.
He must have had almost a perfect bracket.
I don't think he follows college basketball like that. Maybe he does. I don't know.
That's probably a good question. Who does he follow?
Is he in the our Sports Inspire Network bracket?
I don't think so. 'Cause I know it's like me, you, Dylan, Ty, Gene, Key. I think Brett's in it.
Yeah, Brett. Yeah.
That might be it.
Blue's number one though right now. Go take a
Is it
look.
you?
Ta-da.
It's probably you. And like I said, for now,
Okay.
the deeper we go into the tournament, that's when I make my move. I'm basically hinging my hope on Texas right now. I think if Texas makes it to the championship game, I could probably win the group. If they don't, I'm screwed.
Who they play? Sweet 16.
Xavier.
Texas.
Xavier.
It's gonna be a tough one.
That's gonna be a tough one. Yep.
So you're saying that Texas losing, your chances are moving up in the ranks.
I mean, it always hurts losing your pick to win it all, but if you can at least get like the Final Four somewhat, you might be able to make up the points. But I think even my Final Four is taking a hit. Right now, I got Texas and Alabama, I think, left for my Final Four.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
for the chat, appreciate it. John, Brett, and Gregory. Who else was in there? Anthony early in the show. Really appreciate you guys, especially John. Now that you have a rivalry with Jordan, you got to come back every week, 7:00 on Tuesdays, and make sure you're in the chat.
Oh, also,
but
Juan and Daniel Barry.
Yeah,
Sports.
Juan, I forgot about Juan. Yeah.
Can't forget about my man Juan, y'all.
I know, because Juan was the hero last week, and he joined us again this week. So really appreciate him as well. But you guys can hit the subscribe button, because that way you'll know when we come up every week. Get that notification so you don't miss us. We try to put on great shows for you every week, so you don't want to miss out what we got going, because we're going to continue to grow, just like the network. And there's other great shows on here, great people on here, so you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you do that. But until next week, Tuesday, hopefully Dylan will make it. And also appreciate Lennon coming through as well. Definitely got some great NFL points and NBA points. He's welcome on anytime he wants to. But until next Tuesday, 7:00, we are the Big Three Podcast. For myself, Jake, and Jordan. We're out. See you next week. Enjoy the rest of your night.
We out.